Good evening, everybody, or good afternoon. I'm on right now. We have Karoline Leavitt doing a press conference. She's speaking about Minnesota. She's speaking about all the things going around in the country. Trump did a breakfast this morning. He did about an hour something speech. He speaks on all the topics that are going on, as well as last night he did a special one-on-one sit down with NBC. So we've got three things where he's kind of going to break down everything that's going on. I've been doing I've been doing a little bit of looking into things, and I noticed yesterday during our stream that during his live stream, he spoke about, his investing into crypto. And I want to look into that more, but I'm not going to put it into this actual show today. I might do it after this, like later on today, so I can separate the two. But I'm going to go ahead and get myself and get this press going while it's live. And yeah, hope everybody hits the like, share, subscribe, and just have a beautiful day. God bless. Now, let me get this going. All right, let's go. Hit the like, share, subscribe.
Room here today. Thank you all so much for showing up and for joining. I apologize for the delay. The president and I were watching the press conference about the search for Savannah Guthrie's mother, which is just a heartbreaking situation. The president, as you all know, spoke directly with Savannah yesterday and told her that the federal government is here to help. Any requests that are made by state and local officials in the search of Miss Guthrie will absolutely be accommodated. I spoke with the FBI directly about that today as well. And our hearts and our prayers are with Savannah and her entire family as they search for her dear mother. I also have a quick scheduling announcement for all of you. Tonight at 7 p.m. during prime time, President Trump, Dr. Oz, and National Design Studio Director Joe Gebbia will officially unveil Trump RX, a state-of-the-art website for American consumers to purchase low-cost prescription drugs. This historic announcement will save millions of Americans their hard-earned money. So make sure to tune in tonight, and we will see all of you in the news media there. President Trump promised to restore law and order to the United States of America, and newly released data proves he is delivering overwhelmingly on this promise. A study from the Council on Criminal Justice shows that the murder rate across America's largest cities plummeted in 2025 to its lowest level since at least 1900. Again, let me repeat to put this in perspective. This marks the largest single year drop in murders in recorded history. This dramatic decline is what happens when a president secures the border, fully mobilizes federal law enforcement to arrest violent criminals, and aggressively deports the worst of the worst illegal aliens from our country. The numbers don't lie. Under President Trump in 2025, the FBI increased violent crime arrests by 100% compared to the prior year. The FBI also conducted more than 67,000 arrests from Inauguration Day 2025 to January 20th, 2026, which is 197% more arrests than the same period previously. The FBI also disrupted 1,800 gangs and criminal enterprises, a 210% increase from the year prior. The FBI has arrested 1,700 child predators and more than 300 human traffickers across the country. Since President Trump took office, 6 of the FBI's top 10 most wanted fugitives have been captured. Right here in our nation's capital, where you all live, so you know it well, whether you choose to report it or not, the president's efforts to make DC safe and beautiful have worked. As of last week, DC homicides were down 62%, motor vehicle theft down 53%, and 2025 had the fewest violent gun crimes of any year of available data in our nation's capital. For more proof that these tough on crime efforts are working, look at the president's Make Memphis Safe Again campaign. As of last week, there have been nearly 5,600 arrests made, and aggravated assaults are down 53%. Sexual assaults are down 53%, and robberies are down 70%. Again, that's just in the city of Memphis. 5,600 arrests have taken place because of this president and his Homeland Security Task Force that has surged into Memphis at the request of both the governor and the mayor in that city. A Democrat mayor, I will add. These are the results that can happen when Democrats and Republicans, when the federal government and state and local officials work together. And that's what Trump wants to see to improve public safety across our country. When you have a leader like President Trump who empowers good cops to be cops and to arrest bad criminals, American communities will become safer. Many of the media outlets in this room have expressed shock and confusion at these remarkable statistics. The New York Times declared that, quote, no one knows for sure what's behind the staggering drop in the murder rate. The reason is very clear. It is President Trump's leadership and his unwavering commitment to law and order. The drop in crime is more proof that all that is required to improve public safety on our streets is a leader with the will to do what is necessary to protect law-abiding American citizens. The terror and chaos that was unleashed under Democrat rule is a choice. It's a choice to put violent criminals ahead of innocent Americans, a choice to force us all to live in fear because of soft on crime, liberal politicians, prosecutors, and judges who lack the basic willingness to do their jobs and put dangerous people behind bars. On November 5th, 2024, the American people made a resounding choice that they've had enough of that, and that's precisely why they reelected President Trump. So even as Democrats and the liberal media are engaged in hysteria about this administration arresting and deporting violent, criminal, illegal aliens, the undeniable truth is that deporting these individuals is one of the primary reasons why America's streets are safer today than they were 1 year ago when President Trump assumed office. Former President Biden and the Democrats left our borders wide open, and President Trump and the brave men and women of ICE are removing these dangerous criminals. So here are just a few recent examples. Number one, a Venezuelan national and active Tren de Aragua gang member with a rap sheet including homicide, assault, child cruelty, domestic violence, and property damage. This is an individual I can assure you not a single one of you in this room would want in your neighborhood, whether you admit it or not. He entered the US in 2022 and he was released into our country by the Biden administration. He is no longer here thanks to President Trump. An El Salvadorian national and known MS-13 associate previously convicted of homicide, conspiracy to commit homicide, and kidnapping, arrested for arson, battery, armed carjacking, and assault. He entered illegally in 2016, was released by the Obama administration, and ICE just arrested him on January 8th, 2026. This example shows you how many criminal illegal aliens have been roaming American streets freely because of a lack of attention to this matter from the previous administration, and President Trump is cleaning up their mess. A Cuban national and blood gangs member convicted of multiple homicides and robbery. ICE arrested him on October 27th and removed him on January 6th, 2026. Arresting and deporting these types of illegal criminals is precisely what the American people voted for. And despite desperate recent attempts by Democrats and those in the media to undermine the president's deportation agenda, these efforts are failing. Brand new Harvard-Harris polling shows overwhelming support for President Trump's efforts to protect law-abiding citizens from criminal illegal aliens. Nearly 8 in 10 Americans say criminal illegal aliens should be deported. A solid majority also support deporting all illegal aliens, regardless of additional crimes. And more than 2 in 3 Americans back the Trump administration's common sense requirement that state and local officials cooperate with federal authorities and work to hand over criminal illegal aliens in local jails for swift deportation. Finally, to prevent another invasion of millions of illegal aliens from happening again, President Trump and Secretary Noem delivered the most secure border in American history. 0 illegal aliens were released into our homeland over the past 9 months. This is a truly remarkable achievement. Again, 0 illegal aliens released into the country in 9 months. This is staggering, and it deserves more attention from all of you. Overall, Customs and Border Protection recorded the lowest total encounters in agency history. Daily encounters have fallen by 95%, averaging just 250 apprehensions at the southern border a day. This is compared to over 5,100 daily apprehensions during the Biden years. It's a night and day difference because we finally have a president who enforces the law and lets our law enforcement do their noble jobs of protecting our homeland. When President Trump campaigned on making America safe again, this is exactly what he meant, and the numbers and the results speak for themselves. With that, I will open it up to questions today. We're going to start with Daniel Baldwin from One America News, who is here religiously covering the White House beat every day. So it's good to see you in a chair instead of standing up today, Daniel. Thanks for being here, and why don't you kick us off?
Thank you, Karoline. It's an honor and a privilege to represent One American News in the new media seat. First question on that DHS funding bill. Funding runs out in the better part of 8 days or so. Democrats, at least verbally, are very dug in. What does the White House believe their end goal is when it comes to this funding fight, when it comes to immigration policy at large? What is their end goal when they're dug in a position like this at this point in time?
Well, the president has two end goals. One is to obviously keep the government funded and open, and that includes the Department of Homeland Security, which does not just touch upon ICE and Border Patrol, but also FEMA, the United States Coast Guard, the United States Secret Service. These are brave public servants who work to protect our homeland. The president wants these individuals to get paid. Secondly, when it comes to any discussions about immigration policy, the president is never going to waver in his commitment to allow immigration enforcement efforts in this country and to support ICE and Border Patrol and the deportation of illegal alien criminals. I know Senator Schumer and Leader Jeffries sent over a very long list of demands, some of which the administration is willing to discuss. Others don't seem like they are grounded in any common sense, and they are non-starters for this administration. But we're not going to negotiate policy from the podium. I'm going to allow the president to do that, and any final decisions that are made will be made ultimately by him. But rest assured, he is never going to allow law enforcement in the jobs that they do, the important jobs that they do, to be undermined.
And secondly, Karoline, the Department of Homeland Security put out a tweet a better part of an hour ago alleging that an illegal alien was involved in a major car wreck in Indiana, killing 4 people, and they allege that the suspect in question came in under the CBP-1 app under the Biden administration and received a commercial driver's license from the state of Pennsylvania. What is the White House's reaction to a situation like this? And what is the White House doing to crack down on cases like this where illegal aliens are obtaining commercial driver's licenses?
Yes, this is another abhorrent example of the border crisis over the past 4 years. And it again exemplifies why the administration must continue and will always continue to fully back and support ICE and Border Patrol and law enforcement in their removal of illegal alien criminals from our country. For those who don't know, and all of you should report on it, 4 Americans were tragically killed and lost their lives this week yet again from an illegal alien, an individual who was paroled into the country by the Biden administration using the CBP-1 app, which they created like it was a magic pass for Disneyland. That's not how immigration in this country should work. And this illegal alien from Kyrgyzstan was traveling on an Indiana highway, and he failed to brake for a slowed semi-truck in front of him. He swerved into the lane and he crashed into a van carrying 15 passengers, and 4 people were killed in that crash. This is another tragedy that could have been prevented if not for the wide open borders from the previous administration. That's why we now have a secure border. That's why this administration will continue to deport illegal aliens from our country. Thank you for being here. Garrett.
John, thank you for your comments and your prayers for the Guthrie family. I have 2 questions related to the president's interview with NBC yesterday.
Sure.
At one point in the interview, the president said that he believes states are accumulating the votes for who wins the election. He says if they, meaning the states, can't do it honestly and can't be done properly and timely, then something else has to happen. What did he mean by that? Is he suggesting that the federal government count votes in elections?
What the president is suggesting, and I just spoke to him about this, is that Republicans and Democrats in Congress should pass the Save America Act. This piece of legislation is going to ensure that states are abiding by federal election law by removing non-citizens from their voter rolls. In addition, the Save America Act will require voter ID to vote, and it will require proof of citizenship to register to vote. These are very common sense policies and proposals that 89% of our country agree with. So that's what the president is talking about. Again, I just spoke with him about this, and he's calling on both Republicans and Democrats to send the Save America Act, to pass it into law and to send it to his desk as quickly as possible.
The SAVE Act doesn't say anything about who counts votes, which has always been a state, a local, a county function. Why does he keep talking about somebody else, presumably the federal government, counting votes?
Because the SAVE Act directs states to remove non-citizens from their voter rolls. And we know in states across the country, the president is right to point this out. In states like California or in places like New York City, non-citizens are allowed to vote in state and local elections. And the federal government should absolutely do away with that. I don't think a single person in this room, if you really are being honest with yourselves, should agree that non-citizens should vote in American elections, no matter where that election is up and down the ticket. And so this is a piece of federal legislation that will help states ensure the integrity and the sanctity of their elections. And that's what the president wants. Peter.
Thanks, Karoline. President Trump posted about Nancy Guthrie that he is directing all federal law enforcement to be at the families and local law enforcement's complete disposal immediately. What should we expect to see from the federal government in coming days in the search to find Nancy Guthrie?
It's a very good question, Peter, and it's why I was on the phone with the FBI earlier this morning to ask that. And what they told me is that the FBI, again, is at the disposal of the state and local government. Whatever personnel or assets or resources that the state and local authorities and police need will be granted to them at the direction of the president, the FBI director, and the attorney general.
A different law enforcement issue. The FBI just found 1,000 samples inside an illegal biolab in Las Vegas. It is linked to a different biolab that was previously raided. There are ties to China. What does the president think the CCP might be up to here?
I haven't spoken to him about this specific investigation from the FBI, but I'm happy to, and I'm sure he's very glad.
I do want to say this. When they brought up this biolab, this isn't the first time the biolab has been mentioned. It happened in San Francisco like a year or two ago. There was a giant warehouse. There was a pipe sticking out the side of the building. They went in, and the exact same story that they're talking about right now, they're talking about in Las Vegas. And if you look into it more, which it's not YouTube friendly, they'll tell you, there was lots of blood and diseases found in vials, and it was from, China. So it's exact same story they used a few years ago in California. So I thought when I read this story that she's talking about right now that it was an old story. That's how similar it is. So we're gonna have to dig into that more, because I absolutely thought that was old news. So clearly they're doing it again.
That this is something the FBI discovered, and we'll make sure anyone who is involved in illegal activity will be held accountable.
And just one more about this weekend. At the Mar-a-Lago Super Bowl party, after the first two quarters, are the TVs going to be on the halftime show with Bad Bunny or the halftime show with Kid Rock?
I think the president would much prefer a Kid Rock performance over Bad Bunny. I must say that. Jennifer.
On the nuclear arms pact, we saw the president's post on that.
Yes.
But can you say, is there a temporary agreement with Russia to stand by the terms of the New START treaty while negotiations are happening?
Not to my knowledge. Again, to your point, Jennifer, I just do want to reiterate exactly what the president said. He wrote just moments ago, the United States is the most powerful country in the world. I completely rebuilt its military in my first term, including new and many refurbished nuclear weapons. I also added Space Force and now continue to rebuild our military at levels never seen before. We are even adding battleships, which are 100 times more powerful than the ones that roamed the seas during World War II. The Iowa, Missouri, Alabama, and others. I have stopped nuclear wars from breaking out across the world between Pakistan and India, Iran and Israel, and Russia and Ukraine, rather than extend New START, a badly negotiated deal by the United States, which I will add was renegotiated under former President Barack Obama. Aside from everything else, is being grossly violated. The president wants to have our nuclear experts work on a new, improved, and modernized treaty that can last long into the future. And that's what the United States will continue to discuss with the Russians. Leisha.
Thank you, Caroline.
Sure.
Did President Trump himself ever ask DNI Gabbard to head down to Fulton County, Georgia?
The president was asked and answered that question just yesterday. I've seen a lot of the media in this room get very caught up with the semantics of why Tulsi Gabbard is there. I will tell you why, and the president agrees with this, because election security is essential to national security. And as the director of national intelligence, it is a part of Ms. Gabbard's role to make sure that American elections are free of foreign interference and that American elections are safe and secure. And so the ODNI director is working with the FBI on this effort, and the president wholeheartedly supports both Kash Patel and Tulsi Gabbard in ensuring that American elections are safe, are secure, and are free of foreign intervention.
Is there any
Michael,
indication
go
that
ahead.
there's
Thank you,
foreign
Caroline.
influence?
Federal law enforcement's involvement in the search.
Well,
for Nancy Gabbard.
excuse me one second. It's the media who has said that there's Russian interference in American elections. You guys have been saying that for many, many years. So the people you all said for many years that Russia interfered in the 2016 election to help Donald Trump. You should all be very happy that we finally have an administration that is looking into that, and we'll be happy to keep you posted. Michael.
Thanks, Caroline. With the FBI's involvement in the search for Nancy Guthrie now, has this search expanded nationwide outside of Arizona? And given Pima County's proximity to Mexico, is this now an international search?
Well, Michael, that would be a question for state and local authorities as they continue to oversee the investigation at this time. Again, the federal government and the FBI have offered any and all resources, but the state and local authorities are still leading the investigation. So I would direct you to them. I'm certainly not in a position to talk about it.
One other question, Caroline.
Sure.
Friday's talks with Iran, they were originally supposed to take place in Turkey. They've now been moved to Oman. Can you tell us the reason for that move?
Look, the president, diplomacy is always his first option when it comes to dealing with countries all around the world, whether it's our allies or our adversaries. And so Special Envoy Witkoff and Jared Kushner will be traveling to Oman for those talks tomorrow, and we will see what comes of those. The president is standing by for an update from them. Sure, in the pink.
Thank you, Caroline. Cuban leader Miguel Diaz-Canel said today that Cuba would be willing to engage in dialogue with the United States only without pressure, without preconditions, on equal footing and with respect for sovereignty. But his government is denying what President Trump said, that they're all already holding talks. How would you respond to that?
I think the fact that the Cuban government is on its last leg and its country is about to collapse, they should be wise in their statements directed towards the president of the United States. But as I just reiterated, the president is always willing to engage in diplomacy, and I believe that's something that is taking place, in fact, with the Cuban government.
Yeah, thank you, Caroline. So the Office of Personnel Management released a final rule today that makes it easier to fire government employees who are not doing their job, basically. Does the president believe that there are people in his government still that are not following his agenda?
That's a good question. I have not asked him about that. I mean, look, it's a very big government, right? There are thousands of people who work for the federal government here in Washington, D.C. This administration has been very much focused on ensuring that we have an efficient and productive workforce for the American taxpayer. There's not a day that goes by where we don't show up and realize we are public servants working on behalf of the American people, and everybody in the federal government best have that mindset, or they won't be welcome to work for this administration. So I think it's a good thing that the Office of Personnel Management put this rule out. I think if people aren't doing their jobs, if they aren't showing up for work, if they're not working hard on behalf of this president, they're not welcome to work for him at all.
The New York City mayor is dealing with a $12 billion budget deficit. If he texted President Trump, would the president bail him out?
I'll leave that answer to the president himself, Ed. Kristen, go ahead.
One more follow-up on Dina Gabbard. You said that the president supports the fact that she was there, but last night when he was asked about it, he said he didn't know why she was there. He didn't say that he directed her. Can you clarify on that? Did she go by herself and he learned later and supports it?
Well, did you look at the full entirety of his response? I was in the room for that NBC interview, Kristen, and he just said exactly what I told you, which is that election security is essential to national security. security. We need to ensure that our elections are free and are fair and are free of foreign interference. And he spoke about how Ms. Tulsi Gabbard is involved in that effort. So you're taking like the first 3 words that he said to one question and not looking at his entire response.
On what you said about foreign interference, you talked about 2016 and Russian interference, but what we've learned from these Georgia officials is what was seized by the FBI were ballots from 2020 in this Fulton County election center. Do you have any evidence that there was international interference in the 2020 election in this election center?
What I do have evidence of, and what the media seems to be undermining, is why Tulsi Gabbard is there in the first place. And I would point you again to federal law that clearly assigns the DNI and the office with the statutory responsibility to lead counter intel matters related to election security. This includes assessing risks to election voting systems, software, voter registration databases, and more, and analyzing foreign interference. And the ODNI is responsible for supporting the White House interagency action to secure our elections through intel analysis and vulnerability assessments. And they should be routinely collaborating with agencies like the DHS, the DOJ, and the FBI. So as for that question, it would be better suited to ask the Director of National Intelligence herself in her office. But what I'm telling you is that it is more than appropriate. In fact, it is Tulsi Gabbard's job to ensure that our elections are safe and secure. And that's exactly what she's been doing on the ground in Georgia. And I don't understand why anyone in this room, considering you're all American citizens, I believe, and like to vote in our nation's elections, should have any problem with that whatsoever. Now,
Thank you, Karoline. The president said that the administration should take a softer approach on immigration enforcement. He's also suggested for months that some migrant workers should be spared from these raids based on what they're doing. Is the administration going to continue to conduct large worksite raids as it seeks to target violent criminals? And can you clarify, is the federal government going to continue doing these deportation operations in blue cities where authorities say they don't want them?
Well, first, again, to the president's answer yesterday, the full context of his answer was that he'd like to see a softer touch, but we are always going to remain tough. That softer touch the president is referring to is that cooperation that is necessary between state and local authorities and federal government authorities to ensure that we can continue deporting illegal aliens from our communities without tons of agents having to go after one illegal alien. If the states and the local governments just turn over their illegal aliens to ICE at jails, as they should be doing, it requires one agent to deport that one illegal alien who can then go on their way to their home country in a peaceful manner. The escalation that we've seen take place in Minnesota is a direct result of the refusal of state and local officials to cooperate with the federal government and with ICE, which has led to these hostile and dangerous environments. And so we don't want that. Again, the president wants direct cooperation, and that's what he was referring to. As for worksite raids, I don't broadcast any future action that may or may not happen from the Department of Homeland Security. But again, the president's focus and the administration's focus is on targeting illegal alien criminals, especially those who have committed heinous crimes in our country, as evidenced by the few illegal aliens that I just shared with you here today.
Will ICE and Border Patrol avoid going to other blue cities where the local officials are saying, we won't work with you, we don't want you here?
Well, first of all, those local officials should be wanting to work with ICE. Why would any official, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, want murderers and predators in your city? It makes zero sense. It's an untenable position. The only reason Democrats are taking that position now is because their entire party platform is just anti-Trump. It makes no sense for the American people. They should be calling this White House. They should be calling Secretary Noem. They should be calling Tom Homan, and they should be saying, we want to work with you to remove the worst of the worst criminals from our city. Please come here. So yes, ICE is going to continue to do their job in cities and communities across the country, but it certainly makes it much easier when we have that level of cooperation and corroboration at the state and local level. In places like Florida, where there has been the arrest of thousands, tens of thousands of illegal alien criminals. None of you talk about that, or none of you hear about that, because these operations are going seamlessly and peacefully. Why? Because there is an intimate cooperation between the state government and the federal government. And that's what the president wants to see in all 50 states. And the whites, yes.
Hi, thank you, Karoline.
over the weekend, President Trump said that he was giving a serious look at endorsing in the Texas Republican Senate primary. We know that Minnesota and Georgia also have competitive, crowded primaries. Is he giving those races a serious look as well?
Well, I'm not allowed to speak from the podium on any future political endorsements the president may or may not make, but I know that he is watching all of these races across the country quite carefully. I won't get ahead of him on any potential endorsements. John.
Thanks a lot, Caroline. Two questions for you about the continuing resolution that the president signed for the Department of Homeland Security. What would be the repercussions for all of the agencies under DHS if no agreement is reached on funding when that deadline approaches next Friday?
Well, there will be grave repercussions for all of those agencies, but more importantly, frankly, for the American people who those agencies serve. And that's exactly what the president and the White House want to avoid. Again, we want to keep the government funded. We want the Department of Homeland Security, of course, to be up and operationalized and continuing as necessary to protect our homeland, to secure our border, to ensure the brave men and women of the United States Coast Guard are getting paid, the brave men and women of the United States Secret Service who protect the president, the vice president, and frankly, all of you in this building every day continue to receive the paychecks that they so well deserve. And so that's why the White House will engage in these talks with Democrats. But again, the president is never going to cave on this administration's core promise to deport illegal aliens from our country.
You said, Caroline, in your statement that there are certain proposals that Democrats are putting up that are non-starters. What are some of those non-starters?
There are a few, and it's a very good question, but I won't negotiate from the podium. I know the White House will be engaged in direct, serious talks with Democrats on this important matter. Natalie.
Thank you. In addition to launching Trump RX tonight, Trump has said that he wants to meet with insurance companies to lower healthcare costs. Do you have any update on when those meetings?
Yes, he does want to meet with insurance companies. That meeting will take place. I don't have an update on when it will be on the schedule, but the purpose of that meeting will be to continue to negotiate with these companies to ensure that more money is going back to the American consumer. And you're all going to see that on full display tonight at 7 o'clock with the formal launch of Trump RX. I'm telling you, this is going to be a very cool and unique event. So everybody really should tune in.
Can you clarify what the president said on the Diego Garcia deal? He said he didn't like it. Now again, he says he's for it.
He spoke with Prime Minister Starmer directly. He understands Prime Minister Starmer's position and he supports it. But as the president reiterated in that statement, of course, the United States reserves the right to protect our assets. We still have a military base, of course, on the island of Diego Garcia. And so the president reiterated to the prime minister and to all of you that the United States will never waver, if necessary, in protecting our assets anywhere in the world, but including on Diego Garcia. And he supports the prime minister's decision. Elizabeth.
Just on that one, Caroline, can I ask you?
Said that he's now seeking.
John, I'll go to you after.
The president said he's now seeking $1 billion from Harvard, considerably more than before. What changed here, and how are negotiations going?
Well, look, this has been an ongoing negotiation and frankly a frustrating negotiation for the president and the administration because we want a deal. And it's very unfortunate that Harvard has dragged its feet in understanding they need to rectify the wrongs and the illegal behavior that took place on their campus over the course of the past several years under the previous administration. And so the president wants a justified deal to correct for that criminal behavior that took place on their campus. He is now demanding $1 billion from Harvard University, and Secretary McMahon will be continuing to lead this negotiation and these talks. John.
Caroline, thank you. You mentioned some polling earlier that was very compelling on deportations. Rasmussen came out with a poll today, said 75% of Republicans want all illegals deported. It seems like the conversation has shifted again to focusing only on deporting illegal aliens who are criminals. Is the president still committed to deportations of the 20 million illegals that came here under Joe Biden, or are you starting to see that back?
Yes, and the president has always been committed to that, John. But we must prioritize, and the prioritization is on those tens of thousands of convicted criminals whom we know are still roaming our streets. ICE and Border Patrol and DHS have done a phenomenal job of removing tens of thousands of them. Actually, nearly 1 million people have been deported from our country over the past year, 2 million additional self-deportations. So nearly 3 million people have left the United States. But again, as you pointed out rightfully, Joe Biden and the Democrats allowed approximately 20 million people into our country illegally. So yes, of course, the president is committed to ensuring that America is and always will be a nation of laws.
Thank you, Caroline. Steve Bannon recently said, quote, "We're going to have ICE surround the polls come November." Is that something that the president is considering?
That's not something I've ever heard the president consider, no.
Guarantee to the American public that ICE will not be around polling locations or voting locations in November?
I can't guarantee that an ICE agent won't be around a polling location in November. I mean, that's frankly a very silly hypothetical question. But what I can tell you is I haven't heard the president discuss any formal plans to put ICE outside of polling locations. It's a disingenuous question.
Caroline, I had two questions regarding the DHS. The first one is one of the Democrats' main demands for DHS funding was to demask ICE agents. Is this something that the president is even considering?
Again, this is one of the specific points in the letter that went out by Senate Majority Leader Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries. I won't negotiate the individual points from the podium, but it is obviously something the White House will be discussing with lawmakers on Capitol Hill in the coming days.
Is the administration concerned that the shakeup that we're seeing of DHS activity in Minneapolis could potentially embolden different obstructionist protesters around the country as they now have a playbook on how to get ICE out of their cities?
No, because what you saw yesterday with the drawdown of 700 agents only occurred because the condition that the president of the United States set for local states, local counties to turn over illegal aliens to ICE has been met. Vast majority of counties, nearly every single county now in Minnesota has made an agreement to notify ICE when they are releasing an illegal criminal from their jail. This is a huge win for the administration. Again, it's a condition the president set out and has been met thanks to the tireless efforts of Mr. Homan. And as for the left-wing agitators who have been illegally obstructing ICE's immigration efforts, we are not letting that behavior go unnoticed or unpunished. In fact, just today, the Department of Homeland Security arrested this individual. He is a self-proclaimed Antifa member who has been threatening, doxing, harassing ICE. He called for the murder of federal law enforcement officers. He encouraged bloodshed in the streets of Minnesota. He proudly acclaimed affiliation with the domestic terrorist organization Antifa. And the Department of Justice, thanks to the great work of HSI and the FBI, was able to locate and arrest this individual today. So we are committed to enforcing our immigration laws. We want that level of cooperation from state and local officials. And if people are illegally obstructing our federal law enforcement operations, if they are targeting, doxing, harassing, and vilifying ICE agents, they are going to be held accountable, like this individual here, who again is a self-proclaimed member of Antifa. He is a domestic terrorist, and he will be held accountable in the United States.
Caroline, just to follow up on Garrett's earlier question, I mean, you've talked a lot about the SAVE Act. I know you spoke with the president about it before you came out here. The president has gone beyond that, though. He's talking about Republicans taking over elections, states are agents of the federal government. So just to be clear, is the president only calling on Congress to pass the SAVE Act, or does he want Republicans to go further than that before the midterm elections?
The president is calling on Republicans, again, and Democrats to pass the SAVE Act. I will reiterate, requirement for voter ID to vote. That should be something that no American should oppose. In fact, we know that the vast majority of Americans support it. Requiring proof of citizenship to register to vote, which is not hard to do. We should be able to do that in this country. If you want to register to vote in the United States of America, you have to be a citizen in the United States of America. And this piece of federal legislation will direct states to remove non-citizens from the voter rolls. I just had a conversation with the president about it.
Thank you, Caroline. I have two questions. Tariffs on South Korea. As you know, President Trump recently mentioned increasing tariffs on South Korea. When will the 25% tariffs increasing on South Korea begin? Secondly, what impact will this have on national security?
Sure. I don't have a timeline for you on that, but I will make sure that our trade team here at the White House gets you an answer swiftly and promptly. John.
Thank you so much, Caroline. Yesterday, President Trump, in the NBC interview, said that it bothers me that somebody is going after Bill Clinton. That somebody is the House Oversight Chairman, James Comer, a Republican. Why is the president bothered that they're investigating Bill Clinton and his Epstein ties?
Look, I think that the president has respect for the former president of the United States, Bill Clinton. He said yesterday himself they've shared a good relationship, and that's what he was reiterating in that NBC interview.
Go
ahead,
Caroline. Can you tell us a little bit about the agenda for tomorrow's talks with the Iranians? What will be the focus of the discussions?
Diplomacy moving forward. The president has obviously been quite clear in his demands of the Iranian regime. Zero nuclear capability is something he's been very explicit about, and he wants to see if a deal can be struck. And while these negotiations are taking place, I would remind the Iranian regime that the president has many options at his disposal, aside from diplomacy, as the commander-in-chief of the most powerful military in the history of the world. Take one minute. Washington Examiner, go ahead.
Lynchburg County, Virginia is the third local law enforcement is defying the blue government's demand that they no longer cooperate with ICE. There's a lot of red counties that are thumbing their nose at the blue government, blue states leadership, telling them not to cooperate with ICE. Will this administration support those counties in any way? Support them either through legal help or?
Absolutely. And if there is a county in this country, whether it's red or blue, that seeks to cooperate with the federal government to remove violent, illegal criminal aliens from their communities, this administration is here to help. You've heard the calls from the president himself on asking Democrats and Republicans across the country to call on the Trump administration to work with them, not against them, in the matter of public safety and securing our homeland. Thank you all very much. You'll hear directly from the president tonight at 7 o'clock. And I hope everybody has a good weekend. Happy Super Bowl weekend. The president has wisely chosen not to make a prediction in Sunday night's game. But as a native girl from New Hampshire, go Patriots. Thank you, guys.
Nice. Go Patriots. That's who I'm rooting for too. First off, before I get into the next one, I think I was gonna get into the Trump was doing a sit-down breakfast today. But I'm going to probably do the interview he did last night because I want to hear what he said about Bill Clinton. But as far as everybody talking about, the left and the right being on the same, it is the same. And I just posed this question to everybody in the chat. All these files that were just released, I know y'all have read these files or at least tried or looked through them. How many of them have been photoshopped? How many fake ones have you seen? It's so deceiving right now that the file drop was absolutely exactly what I said, pointless. Pointless. You can't tell the difference of what's real and what's not real anymore. People are posting all over everywhere fake stuff. And I saw one that was absolutely just so there was nothing real about it, and it had 175 shares and it was up for an hour. It wasn't even real. I'm just absolutely crazy how insane people are. Really, dude? All right, let's get into this. But yes, the left and the right are the same. I'm very interested to see. Yes, you're right, Floppy. The left has gone so far left that they're not left. It's more in the middle. What's up, Alienated? How you doing, brother? But yeah, no, the left has gone so far left that they're hard to even be around. And the people on the right have gone so far right that they're also hard to be around. So there was so much, my question is this. Everything, and Floppy, I'm glad you're in here, bro. I'm glad you're in here because you've watched me for years. All the things that I have talked about over the years, here they all are being given to us in paper. Why? Why are they giving us all this information all of a sudden? You know? Why? What is their point on dropping so much stuff right now? They're like, is it real? Is it not real? Yeah, bro. Dude, I wish, dude, everything that I said 10 years ago is being brought and put in your face right now. Go watch my old videos. Everything I talked about literally years ago is being put in our face right now. Everything. All the way down to Event 201. Everything. So, you know, I want to know why. And I want to know what we're going to do with this stuff once everybody has this info. Now that there's stuff out there, what are people going to do with it? What y'all going to do with the info now that you got it? Because I don't see anybody doing anything. And the people that are mentioned, we all know who they were. We already knew Jay-Z. We already knew every person that's been named. I want somebody in the chat to please tell me a name that was new that they didn't already, that we didn't already know that was mentioned. Is there somebody that I'm missing? The only thing that it really confirmed was Bill Gates was exactly what we thought he was. Bill Clinton is exactly who he thought he was. And all these elites that everybody called us crazy for, exactly, Stephanie. Back in 2016, that's a full decade ago. We told you all of this. We told you all about the skull and bones and bail. I don't even want to use the words that they used. You guys know what George Bush did. You know what he's accused of in it. We've been talking about this stuff for 10 years. And we were called crazy. And now all of a sudden, we got the same people calling us crazy, preaching nonsense. Nonsense. It's like, okay, thank you. That was a lie. That was a lie too. All I can find are meltdowns and no sourcing. And exactly. That's all it is. Dude, the copy and pasting and the photoshops and a whole bunch of allegations. There was no real stuff. Like, dude, we're trusting the government right now. We're trusting the government to give us all of our information. The same Trump that you guys can't stand. Well, guess what? Obama was no better. Biden was no better. Clearly, Bush was no better. If you look at the list, you'll see every single one of these people, Clinton, all the way down. You can't say Reagan because he's not here no more. But every single other, George Bush Sr., Jr., Clinton, every single one of them. Every one of them. The media. What's the dude? What's the guy from? Yeah, it was named, but that doesn't mean he was implicated in a crime. That's where you people get it wrong. Because somebody's name is in there doesn't mean they did something wrong. That's why this shit is a giant joke. That's why it's a giant joke. Honestly. And if you trust that, then you trust the government, then you might as well trust Trump too. Because they're all of the same damn thing. And I'm not saying Trump, is one of, but I think he's protecting them. I do think he's protecting them. I do. But I think you guys are all a joke. I think you're a joke, bro. What's your name? Rude thing? You're a joke, bro. Go learn something. Go learn something, homie. Yes, exactly, Stephanie. It was real, dude. That was real. All the politicians are diddlers and all that was real. Yes, he was in it, Doug. Why don't you go do more research? See, I think your biased research doesn't allow you to actually get the truth. That's why I'm laughing at you guys. Because you don't know how to do research. And Obama was definitely on there. Definitely on there. Do you know his connection to Harvey Weinstein? Do you? He sent his kids to do their internship with Harvey Weinstein. Do you not know that? Are you slow, Glenn? Are you slow, Glenn? Not Glenn. Yeah, whoever said that, are you slow? Like, for real. Are you slow? So, your guys' disdain toward and then the search for the truth aren't the same. I'm sorry. I've got no agenda in this. I don't give a damn. I just told you. Trump's protecting him. But I'm not going to call the man nothing. Oh, he was in it 38,000 times. Sure. And Brian, your name could be in there 400 times because you were mentioned. Does that mean he's guilty? That's what I want to know, bro. That's what I want to know. Why? Who am I covering for? What the fuck? What are you talking? Get the hell out of here, bro. That's how low IQ you are, bro. That's how low IQ you are. Facts hurt MAGA feelings. No, Brian. The facts hurt your feelings. Remember this. The same guy who told you to go get your little, there's this giant, everybody go listen to Bill Gates. Yeah, how'd that work out for you? How'd that work out for you, dude? How'd that work out for you? You guys all look stupid. I'm sorry. You all look dumb. Very, very dumb. You're gone too, bro. Goodbye. Bye. And look, it's not about, like I said, bro, it ain't about defending anybody. It's about searching and looking for the truth. And people don't know how to do that. And absolutely, both sides are BS. I'm not going to even say it. Both sides are definitely. But you guys are so damn biased. You don't know how to look into it all. And you just don't know how to. I think we're in a stage where they can see nothing will happen. All this must be coordinated. Why are we effing mad at each other? That's what I'm trying to say. Why are we mad at each other for shit that we did nothing wrong? It wasn't even us. Yeah, and I'm fired up because you're reading this chat and you're reading this. Like, bro, we didn't do nothing. We're just sitting back getting damn, we're just sitting back getting the information. Now, the people that have been in this for a long time, like me, for over a decade making videos, talking these topics, I already know the truth. I already know what's going on. I already did my research. You guys are clearly new. And you'll never get the truth. You will never get the truth because everything that's being put out isn't real. I'm sorry. It's all BS. Redacted BS. You gotta scroll through and read through 1,000 papers to find something real. And don't say it's low IQ because I've put more research into it than y'all for no reason. At the end of the day, I'm sitting here telling you, we're all in this together. Why are we fighting over shit that we all agree with? It makes zero sense. Billy, will you put this dude in the corner? I can't do it. I'll do it. Where is it? Pizza Gate is fake, clown. You're gone. I'm just booting you because you're just a gatekeeper. Next. You've been at this for 10 years? Hell yeah, longer than 10 years, dude. Way longer than 10 years. And Trump was never ever mentioned until this past year or two. He was never mentioned, dude. Then what do you mean? He's the one that exposed it all. That's how slow you guys are. That's how slow you guys are. If it wasn't for Trump, this stuff wouldn't have come out. Remember that. Remember that in 2015. Remember that. Do I think that the files? Wait, you think Minnesota is just a yeah, I think no. I don't think it's a distraction, bro. I think that the I think the Minnesota thing is exactly what they want. They want us to be divided. So they want the people, look, I believe they want the people to do exactly what they're doing. Absolutely. I believe there's a bigger picture, just like there was in 2020, and they want this. This is their goal. They want me to fight with you. They want you to go out and get a pew pew. They want ICE to get attacked. They want a reason to attack you. They want a reason to attack you. 4,500 remarks where somebody, listen, you said the word mentioned. I'm not protecting him, but mentioned and implicated in a crime are two different things, bro. Get your shit right. Being mentioned and implicated in a crime are two different things. It's not the same thing. That's just like being detained and arrested is not the same thing. I'm sorry, dude. Your wording isn't right. And wording means everything. Get it right. Get it right. Just remember, though, the people that have really done this and been in this, we know what's going on. You're not surprising us. You're not pulling our fingers. You're not giving us any new information. There's half the people in this chat right now laughing at the BS going on around us right now. It's not the same, Glenn. It's not. People need to learn. We need to come together on this one. We need to come together and understand that there's actually this stuff going on right now in your backyard. In your backyard. Your neighbors, police officers, teachers, you name it. Like, who cares about Hollywood? We already know what Hollywood's about. Every one of us do. Like, the real move would be to ditch Hollywood completely. Ditch Hollywood. That would be the first real move. Well, the truth is that Paul shows the number one witness, Miss Guthrie, in both cases exonerated. Trump totally, you can read the court deposition. That's a fact. You can't judge him because you never met him and don't know him. You only speculate what he is about. Exactly. You know, we don't. We just don't, bro. The white Republican Confederate are the criminals, and the Somalis are the ones that have been put in front of the criminals that dude, you are weird. Get out of here, dude. You're just, I booted you, dude. That was the dumbest comment I've ever read in my life, dude. That was stupid. You still haven't even read one. I don't know what that means. This guy thinks we don't know about John and how Trump used the model for legally bringing in illegals, Melania, into America. That's not what who are you talking to, bro? Who are you talking to? Who are you talking to? I hope you're not talking to me. I hope you're talking to somebody in the chat, bro. Because I just had a full conversation with my mom before I went live, and how Timothy Ballard, who is a Trump donor, who Mike DeWine, who's the governor of Ohio, went to Hades and brought in the Haitian illegals to Ohio. Yeah, they're all of the same kind. What do you mean I don't know? I don't think you know, bro. I don't think you know, homie. Yeah, exactly, dude. People are relying on a piece of paper given to them by the government, not by what they've learned over the past decade or 15 years. That's the funny part of it all. That is the funny part of it all. Who is John? Who is John Cassavetes? I can't pronounce his name. He's a filmmaker, actor. Out of California. I don't really know too much about him. Oh, the dude from The Godfather. The dude from The Godfather. What about him? What about him? How can you claim you're searching for the truth if you won't? What do you mean? I've been reading them for like 4 days. If you heard the beginning of my rant, you can't tell the difference of what's real and fake already. And it's been 1 week, not even a week. Everything's been doctored already. People are already photoshopping and effing up everything. So much disinformation's already being posted everywhere. That's what I said. I've looked through a lot of it. What do you mean, bro? But I know that you think what I'm really thinking. Wait, what? I didn't hear. I didn't mean to do that, by the way, but I don't care anyways. Later, homie. I can easily see Trump has character. It's obvious. You can tell by looking at his kids what type of person, bro. Yeah, Ryan's been absent forever. I'm about to be looking for a new mod alien. It's not true, man. At least Billy's still around. He's at work, still helping. Thanks, Billy. It's not true, man. Multiple different people are finding the same document, so it can't be doctored if multiple. No, I've read a lot of real ones. Don't get me wrong, but a lot of them are doctored. A lot of them are. I can't even show them to you because I refuse. I refuse. I think one of the most interesting ones is where they talked about, was Gates talking to Epstein, bro? That was one of the most interesting ones because they were talking about what was going to happen in 2020 and 2017. Bye. Bye-bye. So, yeah, man, are coming across the same document the same way the YouTuber can't doctor it because it's somebody else's goes to it. They would see the original. Yeah, you can find the original stuff if you go to the government's webpage. That's what you got to do. And there's thousands and thousands of pages. For sure. 1,000%. Oh my God, this can't be real. Trump is an effing monster. In the files that I have read, he has done. Okay, name one thing, Doug. Name one thing. You said that you were reading the files. Yeah, he was mentioned. There was nothing named, bro. Name something. I want the truth, bro. Give it to me. Send it to my Instagram. Send it to my Instagram because everything I'm asking y'all cannot. You cannot. It's the dude from Godfather. Changed has changed a character. Over 30,000 falsehoods in the first term. And see, where are you guys getting this stuff? I don't get it. Where are you guys getting your information? I know I haven't, dude. I'm just sitting here talking to talk because that's what I like to do. Totally, Corey. I was about to erase this, but you know, dude, Alien, these people have no idea what they're like. I guarantee you they're probably about 21 to 25 with very little knowledge. They were probably like 10 years old when this stuff was like relevant. At best, maybe 10. Yeah. Yeah. I'll take your word for it, bro. Yeah, I've been waiting. Hey, I've been waiting 38,000 times and I've been waiting. Never got one thing. Thank you. So then, Paul, you should know better then. If you're 50, you should know better unless you are literally not paying attention to what's going on. You should know better. There's plenty of people that are innocent in there. Why do you think there's hundreds of victims suing the DOJ right now? Why do you think there's hundreds of people suing the DOJ? Because there was innocent names in that dump, dummy. Trump until it's true, dude. It's true. It's true, bro. You can't even name it. There's no proof. Hey, love you, alienated man. Hey, and speaking of the Clintons, bro, let's get into this next interview. And I'll come back and debate with y'all again. But let's get into this. I will look him. I just looked him up. I'll look into him more. I could always be more informed, bro. I could always be more. I did look him up. I just did, dude. I just did. Birth of American Independent Films. I'm looking at him right now, dude. Okay. I don't know what your point of me looking into it, but I'm not going to do it right here, right now. But he's a Greek American actor and film writer. What do you want from me, bro? Dude, I literally copied and pasted the name right off of your damn comment. I literally copied and pasted the name right off of your comment, bro. What do you mean? Spell it again. Put it in the chat again. I'll do it one more time. But I did it right. Casavet, Casavettes. Yeah. Bye. All you purple hair, pink haired freaks who are for all this BS that we've been fighting against for the last how many years are now claiming to be something. Get out of here. Freaks. You weirdos. We've been yelling against this for years, and now you want to act like you're holier than thou? Get out of here. Get out of here, bro. You people are low IQ if you really think these things. I'm sorry, you're very, very, very low IQ. Ugh. I would hate to be that dumb. For real. Hold on, I gotta refine the interview because I replaced it with John Casavetes or whatever the F the guy's name is. Let's see what he has to say about Bill Clinton. This is from last night at like 12:30 at night, maybe 1. This was dropped. He was interviewed on NBC by a guy named Tom Llamas. I don't know who he is. I don't watch that. I don't know. But let's see what type of crap here. Let's just see. Hold on. All right. Let's just see what he has to say here. Boom. Boom. And by the way, I'm not MAGA either, by the way. So I just take it because I don't care. I support MAGA over any lefty lunatics, but I'm not MAGA, by the way. I don't claim any side. I don't claim anything at all. Get that right.
Fed Chair Jerome Powell and if his Justice Department would drop the investigation into Powell. And as the Republican Party faces growing pressure ahead of the midterms, what he said about the possibility of 2028 and the presidential ticket possibly featuring on the Republican side, Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Plus, we pressed him on what those FBI agents were looking for when they raided an election office in Georgia. And his warning tonight to Iran's supreme leader after that country's deadly protest crackdown. Also, the surprising response when asked about his relationship with former President Bill Clinton. During our talk, the president pointing out ongoing construction on the White House ballroom, what he said about bulletproof windows and drone-proof ceilings being installed, and if he ever worries about his own safety, plus what he told me about his personal health. But we start with the major breaking news out of Minneapolis tonight. Tom Homan announcing he's pulling hundreds of federal officers out of Minnesota, and that's where our conversation begins.
Okay, hold on.
Into the news today.
Hold on, I'm gonna stop it right here real fast. To the fool that said you're not MAGA, what's up with the hat? It's a red hat that is for a lacrosse team. What do you mean? What's up with the hat? I wore a Cavs hat in my live stream. What do you mean, bro? What do you mean? What? I'm not allowed to wear a red hat? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Immigration, 700 officers leaving Minneapolis.
Okay.
Did that come from you?
Yes, it did. But it didn't come from me because I just wanted to do it. We are waiting for them to release prisoners, give us the murderers that they're holding, and all of the bad people, drug dealers, all of the bad people. We allowed in our country, I say 25 million people with an open border policy for 4 years under Biden and that group, the Autopen group, I call them. We allowed to come into our country people the likes of which no country would accept, and we're getting them out. Yeah. But we've gotten a lot of them out. So crime now in Minnesota, crime now in Minneapolis.
I already read your comment
crime
once,
in all
bro.
cities
Write
is
it
down.
again.
And you know why it's down? It's down because of us. It's down in Chicago by 25%, despite the fact that we are always dealing with these people, and they happen to be Democrats.
Right. Speaking of
that don't know anything about crime prevention.
Mr. President, speaking of Minneapolis, what did you learn?
I learned that maybe we can use a little bit of a softer touch, but you still have to be tough. These are criminals. We're dealing with really hard criminals. But look, I've called the people. I've called the governor. I've called the mayor, spoke to them, had great conversations with them. And then I see them ranting and raving out there, literally as though a call wasn't made. We've done a great job everywhere. The only place there's been a little inflammation has been really, it's not Minnesota because we've done well with
Los Angeles, too. There's been others. Yeah.
Well, I saved Los Angeles. The top law enforcement officer, right at the beginning of when they were having riots, before me and it carried into me. If I didn't go in there with the National Guard, with troops, you wouldn't have the Olympics, which I got. I got the Olympics. You wouldn't have the Olympics in Los Angeles. And he said, without the president sending in the troops, we would have lost Los Angeles. Yeah. And you know what? I saved Los Angeles. And we will do it again if we have to. And by the way, we're going to have a very safe Olympics, and we're going to have a very safe World Cup.
Speaking of Minneapolis, after the shooting of Renee Good, you said ICE made some mistakes. What were the mistakes?
Well, look, I'm not happy with the two incidents. It's not, it's both of them, not one or the other. He was not an angel, And she was not an angel. You know, you look at some tapes from back, but still, I'm not happy with what happened there. Nobody could be happy, and ICE wasn't happy either. But I'm going to always be with our great people of law enforcement, ICE, police. We have to back them. If we don't back them, we don't have a country. If we don't back them, you're going to end up, look, Washington, D.C. was a very unsafe place to be. You couldn't walk to the White House. You couldn't walk to a restaurant. Restaurants were closing. I inherited not only a mess with the country, I inherited a horrible, very dangerous capital. Do you know Washington, D.C. is now an extremely safe place? You see what happened. You're here a lot.
When you mentioned Renee
let me
Good,
ask you, Tom,
yeah.
You're here a lot.
Yeah.
Would you have walked down the street a year and a half ago with your family? No. But today you can, and nothing's going to happen.
You mentioned Renee Good and Alex Peretti not being angels. Do you think any of that justified what happened to them, though?
No, I don't. It should have not happened. It was a very sad, to me, it was a very sad incident, two incidents. And, you know, they mentioned the one now, they don't mention the other. Well, I think they were both sad. And you know who feels worse about it than anybody? The people of ICE. They're strong, tough people, and they have to be tough because we're dealing with hardened criminals.
Right.
We're dealing with people, you know, jails have been emptied into our country from all over the world, from Venezuela, where we had great success, you will admit, but from Venezuela, from the Congo and Africa, from all over the world, jails, the jail population was emptied into our country. If we don't have strong people, you're not getting them out.
Yeah.
And we're getting them out. Remember this, again, I say it again and again, we have record low crime in the United States. Nobody's been able to say that for 125 years.
So I want to be clear because it sounds like there is a shift in immigration enforcement here, that there's going to be a shift after Minneapolis. What should Americans expect going forward?
Well, one thing I say to my people, you know, we do a good job, we don't get credit for it. I say they have to ask and they have to say please. When a city is
Who has to ask and who has to say please?
The mayor or the governor. I don't want to go and force ourselves into a city, even if their numbers are terrible. Like, for instance, I got a call from Jeff Landry, governor of Louisiana. He said, we have a big problem. Could you go in and help us with well, let's see, certain sections. I mean, to be honest with you, certain sections of the state, beyond their famous, beautiful city, certain sections of the state. We have done, not only in New Orleans, we've done a really great job in Louisiana, but I was called. I want to be called. Chicago, we could solve the Chicago crime.
Well, on that question, which cities are you headed to next?
We have 5 cities that we're looking at very strongly, but we want to be invited. We will sometimes call the governors.
Are they cities like Chicago, Philadelphia? Are these the cities?
We could straighten out the crime in Chicago. We've already brought it down 25% just by being there. We could have Chicago be a safe city, just like DC is a safe city, just like all of these places that we've gone to. And I look forward. You know, I didn't campaign on that. I campaigned on law and order, but I didn't think I'd be going into individual cities and making them safe.
Anything else you can tell us about the 5 cities? The 5 cities, anything else? So Americans are ready?
We'll be announcing them very quickly, but we could do something. As an example, I was called by people. San Francisco said, please, we have a Democrat mayor. He's trying very hard. Would you, friends of mine that live there, it's got crime problems. Would you let him do the job and not come in? Let's see how it works. I said, look, I can do it much quicker, much faster. Don't forget, we remove criminals. We took over 2,000 hardcore criminals out of Washington, D.C. If we didn't do that, 2% of the people create 90% of the crime. Think of that, 2%. So you have a criminal, because it's over and over again, 2% create 90% of the crime. We took out 2,000 people, more than 2,000 people out of Washington, D.C., and we now have a safe city.
You, as I mentioned, you've had success on immigration. Illegal border crossings are at historic lows, right?
You know, it's so nice that you said that.
But if you look at the,
Tom, what you just said.
It's true.
No, but it's so nice. I hope you air it. It's so nice what you said, because that's called good reporting. That's called fair reporting. Now give me the second part.
Now let me give you the second part of the question.
I don't want to hear
if you look at the polls, most Americans say they don't like how you've handled immigration, right? Especially what's happened in Minneapolis. How do you change their minds?
Well, I don't believe the polls, for one thing, because how can you not I saw a poll in the border where I'm at 55%, okay?
The polls show that Americans aren't against the deportations. It's the handling of immigration.
You know, polls, it depends on the way you ask the question. I saw a poll on the border. I'm at 55%. Well, how can I only be at 55% when everybody agrees that the border is totally, beautifully closed and nobody's coming in unless they come in legally, et cetera. It couldn't be better. I should be at 100%. I don't believe the polls. And some polls, I mean, I could show you polls where I'm polling at 69% popularity and some polls where I have one at
we lost the White House to share that with us. Yeah.
71%. And then I have polls where I'm at 44% and 42%. The polls are almost dishonest, almost as dishonest as some of the reporters themselves.
Yeah.
But I'm getting very good polls. I'm getting very good polls on crime prevention, on law and order, and on the border. I have to. And I'm starting to get great polls on the economy, which I think
the
is
polls on the economy aren't they're not great.
They should be great.
They should be. So why aren't they? If you believe that,
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, look, I've got
Americans tell us we hear this. I mean, we're going to get into the economy later, but I mean, they tell us they don't feel it.
Just so you understand. Yeah. I have $18 trillion being invested into the country. Biden had less than $1 trillion for 4 years, and the whole country was going to credit.
When does America feel it?
Do you know that if they won that election, and we won in a landslide, you know, if they won that election, this country I think it was finished. I actually think it was finished. You would have had people, instead of 18 coming in, 18 trillion, you would have had $10 trillion leaving. I think our country, I think we would have been Venezuela on steroids.
I have a question about immigration still looking forward now. Your goal during the election was to deport everyone who came here illegally under President Biden. Is your mission now to deport everyone who came in illegally or just people who have come in illegally who have also committed additional crimes?
We are totally focused on criminals, really bad criminals. Now, you could say people that came in illegally are criminals, but I'm talking about murderers from different countries. We have 11,888 murderers that Biden and his group led into our country. We've captured a lot of them. We brought some of them back. A lot of them we don't want to bring back because we don't trust the country that they're not sent back again.
Yeah.
Despite how strong the borders are, they'll figure a way to try and get in, and we don't want to, and we'll incarcerate them. But 11,888 murders.
Yeah.
We are after those people. We're after the drug dealers.
Right.
We are after, by the way, a big problem. They allowed to come into our country people from their mental institutions, people from insane asylums that are mentally ill and very dangerous. We're getting them out.
Joe.
Did you lose money sports betting on DraftKings or FanDuel? We may be able to help you get significant compensation under consumer protection laws.
Joe Rogan was one of your biggest endorsers in 2024. He said he understands that the president's sort of plan to deport people here who are here illegally, but he also understands why critics compare ICE officers to the Gestapo asking people for their papers. What's your response to him?
Well, look, first of all, he's a great guy. We had a tremendous success before the election. I think it was his biggest interview ever, and over 300 million people. It was very good. She didn't want to do it. You know, she decided not to do it because she's not capable. But I spoke to him 3 days ago. We had a great conversation, and all I'm doing, I have to keep.
Did he mention this to you? Did you guys talk about this? The ICE enforcement?
Yeah. Just had a good conversation. I think he's a great guy, and I think he likes me too.
Yeah.
And, you know, liking me isn't important. What happens is that I think we do a phenomenal job, but I don't think we're good at public relations.
What does that mean? You've said that a couple times now. What do you mean by that?
We don't sell the great job that we're doing. Look, we have the safest country.
Is that your staff, or those your staff?
Excuse me, people from your persuasion, somewhat left, do a job on numbers. It just came out that in 125 years, we have the safest country, the best crime numbers since the year 1900.
That's a stat. Yeah, we know
that
it's
was
true.
Way before my father was born.
Right.
Think of that. And yet, then you talk about crime, or you talk about this, or you talk about that, and the poll numbers aren't that good. We don't do a good public relations job. That's why I'm doing the interview with you today.
We appreciate
I'm trying
it.
to help my people
PR, public relations.
Speaking of your people, you're never afraid to shake up your team. You've said that you're okay with shaking up your team. Do you still believe in Kristi Noem to deliver on your vision of immigration?
Okay. Look, she was in charge of the border. The border's closed. I mean, everybody gives me A+ on the border. The border was a disaster. People were pouring into our country.
But what about the
They
enforcement?
don't even try and come up now. You know the beautiful thing? The caravans. I think I came up with that name. Thousands of people, 25, 30,000 people in a group. You know who sent them? Their countries. They sent the people that they didn't want. Not only criminals, people that didn't want to work hard, etc. They know who it is. They sent them into our country. We have nobody coming in anymore. We have very good. You just asked me, Kristi. We have the best crime numbers that we've had in 125 years. I think she's doing a very good job. Again, public relations. She's not getting credit for the job that she does.
Let's move to the economy now.
And excuse me, what is sad though, and it is, we had the two primary incidents in Minnesota. So,
and you shook up leadership there. You brought Tom Homan in.
Yeah, I did. And Tom is great. Tom is a superstar. But you do thousands of arrests. You arrest thousands of rapists. You arrest thousands of the worst people. You arrest the drug dealers. I mean, we had drug kingpins. We had murderers. Thousands. No incident. We bring them back to their country. Two people. It's bad. I hate it. I hate even talking about it. Two people out of tens of thousands, and you get bad publicity. Nobody talks about all of the murderers that were taken out of our country. They don't talk about.
But it was two Americans.
They don't talk
who died,
about. We have the smallest trucks. As an example, we've been very tough on the waters, and soon, pretty much overall. But if you look at the waters where we knock out boats, each boat that we knock out, we save 25,000 American lives. We're doing a job like nobody's ever seen before. I just got off the phone with President Xi, and he is amazed at how well the United States is doing. He said he's never seen anything like it.
You brought the conversation, Mr. President, so let me ask you, what did you talk about with the leader of China?
About a lot of topics. We talked
What's
about
the most important topic? Is it chips? Is it the wars in Ukraine? What is going on?
I would say the economy, the relationship that we have with China. I'm going to be going there in April. Then he's coming here toward the end of the year.
Coming to the White House?
He's coming to the White House, toward the end of the year. We have a very good relationship. And it's important that I have a good relationship, and for him that he has a good relationship with me. We have to have these are the two most powerful countries in the world, and we have a very good relationship.
You talk about tariffs?
We spoke for an hour.
Does he ask you about the tariffs? Is he saying this is hurting us?
They're paying a lot of tariffs, as you know. China's paying a lot of tariffs. In the past, they didn't. I'm the one that put tariffs on China. I put tariffs on a lot of tariffs, or just so you understand, making our country rich. Our country has taken in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs, really trillions, because the threat of tariffs is getting all of these countries to lose to us. And by the way, they've been doing it to us for 40 years. And now, but I'm doing it very judiciously, very fairly. But tariffs are bringing in tremendous amounts of money. I just gave $12 billion to our farmers because they were mistreated by certain countries. Tariff money. We're taking in hundreds of billions.
No, and I want to ask you about that. I want to get into that. Talking about the economy, you've brought a lot of prices down, as we said. Some are still stubborn.
Very few.
But when very few. I get it. Yeah.
Few.
When you talk to Americans, though, do you have to get them to understand that the prices are not going to come back down to your first term because we had a pandemic and we had record inflation? Are people's expectations too high, or is it just too expensive to live in America?
I just, again, don't think we're selling it properly. We've done a great job.
But it's expensive out there.
You saw gasoline this last week at $1.99 a gallon. It used to be, it was $4.50, $5 a gallon. $1.99 a gallon gasoline. I think we've really I don't expect them to be much higher. Now, there's a natural inflation.
But they're never going to go down to that first term.
I inherited the worst inflation in the history of our country. It was through the roof. Now, you will say it wasn't in history, it was 48 years. There's a theory that was, I say it was the worst, but whether it's 48 years, I inherited the worst inflation in the history of our country, and now we have almost no inflation. Think of it. You know what it was for the last 3 months? 1.2%. You know what it was under Biden? You can't count that high.
I inherited the worst inflation. I inherited the worst crime. I inherited high prices. So when I inherited
Inflation is
all
down
of those
2.7 right now, but it is down.
No.
Yeah.
For the last three, don't forget, I inherited this mess.
Right.
For the last 3 months, it's at 1.2%. You know that.
Yeah. For the last, okay.
Last 3 months.
You floated the idea of $2,000 rebate checks for Americans from tariff revenue. Who's going to get that, and when is that going to happen?
We'd make it. I'm looking at it very seriously. I'm the only one can do it because I'm taking in hundreds of billions of dollars of
But
money.
you can promise some Americans will get those checks.
Oh yeah, sure. I can do that. I haven't made the commitment yet, but I may make the commitment.
So it's not. A
Well, I
done
just
deal.
gave 1776, right?
Yeah.
To the military. Right, $1,776.
But you said all.
You know, it was
Americans for that.
$1,775. They presented it to me because that's what we have in a budget that I created because I want to take care of our military. Nobody takes care of the military like I do.
Yeah.
So $1,775. And I said, wait a minute, if you had $1, it's $1,776. You know, that's quite a famous state.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
So anyway, wait, so I gave $1,776 to our military, and they are very thankful.
Let's get to the Fed.
And now I may be doing
Yeah.
that with regard to the entire population.
Okay. Let's get to the Fed. Is there any doubt in your mind that interest rates are going to be lowered?
Not much.
Why? How can you say that?
I just think they're going to be lowered. I mean, they should.
Is your
be
new
lowered.
Fed pick on board with that?
We're way high. Okay, we're way high in interest. We have now, with me and with all the money, I've always been good at money. And with all the money coming into our country, we're a rich country again. We have debt, but we also have growth. And the growth will soon make the debt look very small. Because it's the greatest way, you have two ways. You can cut, and we do that anyway. We did that. You know, we got rid of hundreds of thousands of federal workers.
Yeah.
And those workers went out and got themselves jobs in the free enterprise system. And you know what? That's called making America great again. We had 10 workers in the federal government for every single job. When the Democrats go in, they hire. I could right now give you the best employment numbers in history. You know what I do? Go out and hire 2 million people, put them in the federal government.
Does your new Fed
I
pick,
do the opposite.
Yeah. Does your new Fed pick understand that you want him to lower interest rates?
Oh, I think he does, but I think he wants to anyway. I mean, if he came in and said, I want to raise them,
If he said that, he wouldn't have gotten the job.
He would not have gotten the job, no.
Okay.
No.
Do
If
you
I
believe-
thought he was a interest rate, now there'll be times if I see inflation on the horizon, but we don't have that. We have low inflation. Remember, 1.2% inflation in the last 3 months. We have low inflation and we have tremendous growth. You haven't had these numbers like this. We have, think of it, low inflation, great growth. All I have to do is one thing, easy, get down the interest rate.
Do you think the Fed chair answers to you or is an independent body?
Well, I mean, in theory, it's an independent body, but I think, you know, I'm a smart guy. I know the economy better than almost everybody. You know,
So
they
he
did
answers to you.
They did that prediction chart a year ago, and they had 71 great economists and me making the predictions. And, you know, only 2 people were right, me and one other guy who is a very smart professor from a certain school that I went to.
Yeah.
Very good school.
Yeah.
And the 2 of us were right. Everybody else was wrong.
There's been bipartisan suggestions that the criminal investigation to the current Fed chair, Jerome Powell, is payback, right? For not lowering interest rates, but also for when he was in that sort of news conference with you with the hard hats and he was shaking his head and showing you the papers and disagreeing with you in public. Is that why he's under criminal investigation?
He was very respectful to me. He wasn't just, he was explaining to me.
Yeah.
I'm asking him, why are you spending almost $4 billion on a very small little complex of buildings? It's the highest price per square foot. He's renovating buildings for $3 to $4 billion. And you know, this Fed chair that I have is, I think is going to be great. He might not have a home because this guy has spent so much money. And I looked, it's a see-through. There's nothing inside. They are spending money. He's in charge of the project. This is the Federal Reserve building I'm talking about. It's a very small little, it's actually a couple of little, but they're spending more money than any building ever built in history per square foot.
Some Republican senators say they're not going to approve him unless you drop that investigation.
A lot of people say a lot of things.
You don't think that's true? You think,
I don't know.
is it worth it to drop the investigation to get your Fed chair through?
I think the investigation is the investigation. It's being handled by Pam and Janine and the people. They'll make their own decision on it.
Let's talk about AI. Have you ever used?
But I do say this
Yes.
about
Yeah.
you can't let a man spend billions of dollars doing a bill. I would have done that job for $25 million and it would have been done much better.
Right.
They're spending billions of dollars on a renovation of a little complex.
Let's talk about AI. Have you ever used ChatGPT or Claude?
I haven't really, but I know all about it. Let me just talk about AI.
Yeah.
AI is a big deal. AI is going to be maybe the biggest thing, bigger than the internet, bigger than anything else. We are leading China by a lot. We are leading everybody by a lot. They're all building their factories here. And you know what I did for the electric? Because they need twice the electric as we currently produce for the whole country, which is crazy. Nobody can do that. But so what I did is I came up with a concept. Each building that is built is going to generate their own electricity. They're going to build their own electric plant. We are building numbers of AI. And by the way, also auto plants, everything. We're building everything. But do you know, I just left Michigan. I was with Ford. They were going to close this building that was built in the early 1900s, one of the biggest factories. They were going to close it. It was scheduled to close prior to my election. After I won the election, they said, let's try keeping it open. They just went to 3 shifts. It's 24 hours a day. And the head of Ford, Mr. Ford, said it's the most incredible auto comeback I've ever seen.
Mr. President, let me ask you, there's no doubt you are the president who's ushering in the AI revolution, but this is happening on your watch. If AI affects humanity in a negative way, is that on you? Because some of these CEOs of AI companies say, we need guardrails. This could get out of control. Does that worry you?
Everything's on me as president. Everything's on me. I can say this, it'll be the greatest jobs producer. It'll be the greatest military producer. It'll be the greatest medical producer. There'll be tremendous good. And there'll be probably some bad too.
Well, it's killing a lot of jobs. And what do you say to Americans who are going to lose their jobs to AI?
It's going to create a lot of jobs.
But right now it's taking jobs in a lot of ways. It's taking jobs from companies like Amazon. What would you say to those Americans?
But it hasn't really started. You know, these major plants haven't even been built. What you're going to
but Mr. President, AI has already started to take jobs because the technology is there.
So we have, it's just announced, more jobs right now occupied in the United States of America than at any time during its existence, 250 years. There are more people working today than at any time in the history of our country. Pretty good stat.
That
kills that question.
Yeah, we have to look it up. You are
a good answer. That kills that question.
Mr. President, there's widespread concern that AI is going to wipe out a lot of jobs, manufacturing jobs.
They said the internet was going to do, everything was going to do, robots are going to kill jobs, everything's going to kill jobs. And you end up, if you're smart, doing great.
Okay, you are close with the Ellisons, who are trying to stop a merger between Warner Brothers, Discovery, and Netflix. This deal could change the makeup of the media as we know it. Are you personally going to get involved in that deal?
I haven't been involved. I must say, I guess I'm considered to be a very strong president. I've been called by both sides. It's the two sides. But I've decided I shouldn't be involved. The Justice Department will handle it.
Okay. In what way? Just looking at it to see if it's
they're going to make a decision. I mean, there's a theory that one of the companies is too big and it shouldn't be allowed to do it. And the other company is saying something else about, they're knocking
But you're not going to interfere, even though you're close with the Ellisons.
They're beating the hell out of each other. And there'll be a winner.
Okay, let's talk about the midterms. You've recently suggested nationalizing elections. What do you mean by that?
Big game ads, am I right? They're bombastic and outrageous. They take money.
And I didn't say national, I said there are some areas in our country that are extremely corrupt. They have very corrupt elections. Take a look at Detroit. Take a look at Philadelphia. Take a look at Atlanta. There are some areas that are unbelievably corrupt. I could give you plenty more too. I say that we cannot have corrupt elections. If we have to, if they don't straighten it out. As an example, voter ID. Why don't the Democrats want voter ID? You know who does want voter ID? Democrat voters want it, but Democrat politicians don't. Why don't they want it? Because they want to cheat on elections. Can you imagine if I were a politician and they asked me, do you want voter identification? And I said, no, there's no way you could win that debate.
But even
the Democrats don't want voter ID. If they don't want voter ID, that means they want to cheat. We can't allow cheating in elections. Now, if we need to put in federal controls as opposed to state controls, remember this, they're really an agent. They're really accumulating the votes for who wins an election. If they can't do it honestly and it can't be done properly and timely, then something else has to happen.
Will you trust the results of the midterms if Republicans lose control of Congress?
I will, if the elections are honest. Look, I want the last one that wants to complain. I just had a great election. They say one of the greatest elections, you will agree, ever. Won all 7 swing states. Won 84% of the counties in America. That's why the map is all red. We just had a great election. I believe there was cheating. I think there was cheating.
Well, speaking of counties, what are you doing in Fulton County?
It was too big to rig.
Speaking of counties, what is happening in Fulton County?
I'm not doing anything, but the FBI went in because it's been under I guess, review for years. The cheating that took place in Fulton County and in that particular
nobody knows
state.
what's in the warrant. What are they looking
find
for?
out. Look, why would anybody be upset that they went in and they got the ballots? I guess, right?
Yeah.
Again, they did this. That's been under review and under investigation for 4 years, and now they got a court order. You know, they got a court order signed by.
But nobody knows what the evidence is.
A respected but liberal judge signed a court order allowing them to go in and pick them up. Well, you're going to know what the ballots say because they're right now inspecting the ballot. I'm not involved in it, but they are inspecting and checking the ballot.
Why is Tulsi Gabbard there?
I don't know, but you know, a lot of the cheating comes from it's international cheating. You have people, they say, from China.
You put this on
let me ask
Truth
you,
Social.
do you think China tries to influence our election?
We know that foreign governments try to influence a lot of things in
Well,
this country.
therefore, she's foreign government.
But you tweeted out some theories about Italians and satellites. I mean, do you believe that stuff?
No, I didn't cheat. I sometimes will read truth.
Yeah,
I'll read truth. Okay. But let me ask you this: if China or any of these countries are involved in our elections, that would bring her into it. And everybody knows that Russia. They talked about Russia. It turned out to be a hoax. It was Hunter Biden. It wasn't Russia. Look, we have to have honest elections.
Yeah.
There should be nothing wrong with the fact that they went in, got ballots from a while ago, and they're going to look at them. And now they're going to find out the true winner of that state.
Yeah.
And you know what? If there was cheating, which there was, but if there was cheating, it should be found because we can't let it happen again.
Mr. President, I have a few more important questions for you. If that's okay with you. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, they've all been important.
Let's go to. There's a new lawsuit by you and your family that you're suing the IRS for $10.5 billion for leaking your tax documents.
Yeah.
Is this a good use of taxpayer money?
You can't leak documents. And any money that I win, I'll give it to charity, 100% to charity. Charities that will be approved by government or whatever. I have another lawsuit with the United States. I sued because they broke into Mar-a-Lago.
But that's taxpayer money. It's going to get taken out of the system. I know it's going to charity, you're going to say.
And I've won that case. I mean, they broke in, the FBI illegally, Biden and his group. It wasn't Biden. He didn't know what he was doing. It was a group of very smart radical left people. They're very smart. They've lost their way.
Right.
And they broke into Mar-a-Lago. They broke into my home. They went through
they had warrants.
My wife's drawers. Yeah. They went through, that's a double meaning. They went through Barron's, my son's, everything. They went through the whole house. Hundreds of people. They went in with guns. They went in, guns
How would
would
this
have been
work?
ablazing.
Yeah. So how would this
wait,
work?
wait. I brought a lawsuit. Essentially, the lawsuit's been won. I guess I won a lot of money.
How would this work, though? Scott Bessent's the head of the IRS. Pam Bondi is the head of the Justice Department. They're going to defend the IRS against you. You're their boss.
Well, there's never been anything like it, in all fairness.
So are you going to tell them to pay you?
Don't forget, I sued as a private citizen because I sued between terms. I won 3 times. I won 3 times, but I didn't assume, unfortunately for this country, I didn't assume office the second time. But here's the story. I sued because they broke into Mar-a-Lago. That was before I became president. Now it goes along, and it turned out that the suit is a very strong suit.
You're going to tell them to pay you, though? You're the boss.
Well, what I would do, tell them to pay me, but I'll give 100% of the money to charity. I don't want any of the money.
You take it out of the system. A couple more questions here.
No, I'm putting it back into the system.
Yeah.
If I give money to American Cancer Society, I will give 100% of the money away to charity. I don't want any of it.
$30 trillion debt, and we're going to take $10 billion out of the system?
Well, I mean, you give it away anyway. They give away a lot of money.
Your endorsement
I'll tell you what,
Yeah.
speaking about that, Minnesota and these other states, we have massive investigations going into fraud.
Yeah.
Do you know if we captured 50% of the fraud of this country right now, we would have better than a balanced budget. And you got to mention that Minnesota, $19 billion in fraud that we know about.
Your endorsement is the most important thing in the Republican primary.
No, in any primary.
Will you endorse in the 2028 presidential primary?
I hadn't even thought of it, but probably, yeah. I mean, I'd be inclined to. I have great people. We have a great bench. We have a lot of people. But yeah, I think so.
You've suggested that J.D. Vance, Vice President J.D. Vance, and Secretary of State Marco Rubio would be a tough ticket to beat. Who should be at the top of that ticket?
Well, I don't want to get into this. We have 3 years to go. I don't want to, I have two people that are doing a great job. I don't want to have an argument with, I don't want to use the word fight. It wouldn't be a fight. But look, JD is fantastic and Marco is fantastic.
How are they
both
different?
doing a
How are they
great
different?
job. And I do think this, it's a great question. I think that's your most interesting question. I would say one is slightly more diplomatic than the other. I think they're both of very high intelligence. I mean, they will do shows. They will do Joe Rogan as opposed to the opponent not doing it because they couldn't handle it. They will be able to do whatever they have to do. I think there's a difference in style. You can see the style yourself, but they're both very capable. I do think the combination of JD and Marco would be very hard to be beaten, I think. But you never know in politics, right? They say in the age of Trump, you never know.
Yeah. On January 21st, 2029, do you see any scenario where you are still president?
I don't know. It would be interesting. But wouldn't it be terrible if I agreed with, if I gave you the answer that you're looking for? It would make life so much less exciting, right? It would be so much less. Making America great again, greater than ever before. Our country is greater than ever before. We're a rich nation. We're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs from nations that took advantage of us. They thought we were stupid. They thought we were fools. They laughed at us. People were laughing at us 1.5 years ago. They laughed at this country. They're not laughing anymore. They respect us. And I get along with them. They respect us.
Mr. President, I have pages and pages of questions, but they're telling me my time is up. I thank you for your time.
We'll do it again. Thank you.
Mr. President, thank you. That concludes the sit-down portion of our extended interview with the president. Right after this break, we'll show you our walk and talk in the Oval Office, where we discussed Iran, the Clintons, and the president's own health. Stay with us. We're back now with a special edition of Top Story following our exclusive sit-down interview with President Trump. At one point, people will talk about you when they talk about presidents like Washington and Lincoln. Is that something you think is going to happen?
All I know is this. It's such an honor. But all I know, I'm walking down, and everyone's screaming, "Goat, goat." I said, what are they talking about? I hope they're right. Not for me, but for the country. Because if I do a great job, that means the country is doing well.
You're building the new ballroom. We hear about this new arch you're building, the Garden of Heroes as well. You're building a lot of things that are going to cement your legacy. Are you also doing this so the country never forgets you?
No, I think we need glamour brought back to our country. We need prestige. We need beauty brought. I mean, in addition to everything else, we need strength. We need all of those things. Like I'm doing an arc, they call it a triumphal arc. 57 cities have arcs. Yeah. We're the only major important city. Washington, D.C. should have maybe the first arc. Yeah. We're doing one that will be more magnificent and larger than the Arc de Triomphe in Paris. I would say the Paris Arc is probably the most
stunning.
It's incredible. We're going to do one that's going to top it.
Is it true it's going to be 250 feet to mark the anniversary?
It'll be about that, yeah. It'll be a little bit taller than the one in Paris. It'll be a little bit larger than the one in Paris.
You're doing a lot of things for the 250 anniversary. Yeah. What do you want Americans to feel this July 4th?
Strength, victory, security. You have a secure country. We've done so much militarily. We have a great military. I mean, you saw Venezuela. That was The people, the general that was in charge, he lived. He said he's never seen anything like it. They were all ready.
You talked about the weapon, the discombobulator. What is that?
Discombobulator. Well, I'm not allowed to talk about it.
But what does it do?
Let me just tell you, you know what it does? None of their equipment works. That's what it does. Everything was.
How does it?
It was my name. I'm very proud of the name. Everything was discombobulated. It was, practically a shot wasn't. They were ready.
Right.
And when we came, they couldn't do anything.
You saw this on the video. You could tell.
Tom, it discombobulated everything.
Nothing worked, even including humans.
Well, let's put it this way. We lost no equipment in a very strong, and they're good fighters, great fighters. In a very bad environment, it was a military base, the biggest in South America. Because the house was in a base in in a very, very tough environment, we lost no men and we lost no equipment.
The discombobulator just knocked everything.
Well, it did something.
It did something. Did Delcy Rodriguez work with you guys before that raid?
I can't talk about that. I mean, I don't talk about.
Do you trust her?
Well, so far she's done a great job. I mean, so far she and all of the people that are working with her. Remember in Iraq, they got rid of everybody. They had no generals. They had no people. They had nobody to run the government. Turned out to be a mess. And that's where ISIS came from. That's where ISIS came from. Came from the military and all the people. They formed ISIS. It was handled very badly. But this is handled very well.
Do you think the Cuban government will still be there? The current leadership will still be there by the end of your term?
Well, Cuba, now you're asking a different question. Cuba's in big trouble. Humanitarian aid is going to have to be sent there. They're in big trouble.
It's a disaster.
They got their money from Venezuela. They got their oil from Venezuela. They turned the oil into money, et cetera, and there's none of that happening anymore. They're in big trouble.
Do you think that government is still there, though? Do you think that government lasts?
I don't want to say that, but we are talking to Cuba.
You're talking to Cuba.
You know what? Look, we have tens of thousands of people that were forced out there here. They voted for me, 94% Cuban population, previous Cuban population. Now they're Cuban Americans. Maybe they go back. Maybe they want to go back. They're going to have that choice. But for years, they've been talking about this happening. Now it's happening. We are talking to Cuba. We want to open it up to those people that want to visit. Even, I think most people, when they hear, they want to stay here. I hope that's true. I hope we're not going to lose them. But they're going to have options, and they're going to be able to go back, Tom, and see their loved ones, see their family, their friends.
Should the supreme leader in Iran be worried right now?
I would say he should be very worried, yeah. He should be. As you know, they're negotiating with us.
I know they are, but the protesters have said, where are the Americans? You promised them we would have their back. Do we still have their back?
Well, we've had their back, and look, that country's a mess right now because of us. We went in, we wiped out their nuclear.
So
if I didn't take out, we have peace in the Middle East.
Yeah.
If I didn't take out their nuclear, think of it. If we didn't take out that nuclear, we wouldn't have peace in the Middle East because the Arab countries could have never done that. They were very, very afraid of Iran. They're not afraid of Iran anymore. We wiped out those beautiful B-2 bombers, one's right over there, those beautiful little model. Those beautiful B-2 bombers went in and they hit their target, every single bomb, and obliterated it. And because of that, they were going to have a nuclear weapon within 1 month.
Yeah.
Within 1 month, they were going to have a nuclear weapon.
Yeah.
That was a big threat. That they're not going to have it anymore.
But if we obliterate it, what's the deal about? I mean, if there's no more, are they trying to restart the nuclear program?
Well, I heard that they are, and if they do, and I let them know, if they do, we're going to send them right back and do their job again.
So your understanding is they tried to restart it, and that's why you're threatening force?
They tried to go back to the site. They weren't even able to get near it. There was total obliteration. But they were thinking about starting a new site in a different part of the country. We found out about it. I said, you do that, we're going to do very bad things to you.
Yeah. Mr. President, the ballroom over here, I want you to show it to me, because the thing you said that stood out to me, it's going to be massive, but it's got a drone-proof ceiling and it's got bulletproof windows. What does that mean?
Bulletproof windows, because, well, we're in a different time. If somebody's up making a speech, we're going to have the inauguration there. We're going to probably have, I would say, definitely it's going to be large enough, but we have drone-proof ceilings.
What does that mean?
That means if a drone hits the ceiling, it bounces off. It doesn't blow up a building.
It's a fortress.
It's protection.
It's going to be a fortress.
Well, it's going to be very heavy steel.
Okay.
It's very simple. It's heavy steel.
Because of that, do you?
And by the way, the ballroom is It'll be the most beautiful ballroom of its kind, and it's very much in keeping with the White House.
You survived that assassination attempt that we all covered. It was terrible, 2 of them. Do you worry about your safety? I mean,
Yes.
you think about the ball. You do?
I worry about it, but you have to put it out of your mind. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to do your job.
You didn't think about it as much before. Now you think about it a lot.
Maybe it could be. I mean, you look statistically, I'm in a very dangerous job.
Yeah.
I mean, if you take a look at the walls, if you take a look, statistically, this is a much more dangerous job than being a race car driver or riding those Broncos. Those bulls are tough, right? But I wouldn't want to do that. But statistically, being president is the most dangerous job there is.
We first met 10 years ago when you were running the first time. How do you feel now as you approach 80?
I feel great. I mean, physically and mentally, I feel like I did 50 years ago. It's crazy. Now, there'll be a time when I won't be able to give you that answer, but that time hasn't come. I do. I think it's very important. I've done more physicals. I take physicals just to give the report out.
Yeah.
I take cognitive physicals. So I do a cognitive mind test, okay? And a lot of people wouldn't be able to do very well. Not easy. You get to those last questions. I've aced. I've done 3 of them. No other president has agreed to do them. I do them because I have no problem with it because I'm 100%. Now, there will be a time.
Still taking the aspirin?
I do. I take aspirin. And I don't want to change, I don't want to.
So you go against your doctor's orders. You do what you kind of feel.
I've been taking aspirin for 30 years, and I don't want to change it. So, they say, take the smaller one. I say, well, I want that blood to be nice and thin running through my heart.
If at any point your age impacts your job.
The Ergo Smart Brace from Tempur-Pedic automatically responds to snoring. So no more hiding under your pillow, because this system actually detects snoring, then adjusts to help reduce it. During our President's Day sale, save up to $500 on select adjustable mattress sets.
Who's going to tell you that, or do you think you'll know yourself?
I think I'll know myself. Yeah. I think I'll know myself. I wouldn't do an interview with you, as an example.
Yeah.
Did Biden do an interview before Super Bowl? I'm not sure. Maybe he did.
Last one, he didn't.
I mean, he wasn't capable of doing an interview. And that was things. Look, I know people that are 95 years old that are sharp as a tack. Biden was a bad thing for old people. He's the worst thing that ever happened to old people because he obviously didn't have it. And one of the things that's so depressing about the press is the press refused to report the obvious. And he did have very smart people around him, but they had a radical left culture, and they were very bad for this country. This country would not have survived 2 more years if one of them got elected.
Yeah, we didn't get a chance to speak about the DOJ. I appreciate all your time and of your staff's time. They've been very, very kind.
Yeah.
Should anybody else expect the DOJ to kind of come after them like you've come over after some of your political enemies?
You remember this time? I was impeached twice, 2 fake impeachments, won both of them easily. Republicans stood by me 100%, but I won both of them.
Mm-hmm.
I was indicted 87 different times. And then you ask me that question.
Yeah.
So I think I'm extremely moderate, especially for what they did to me. They wanted to take me down. I said to somebody, do me a favor, add up the counts. If I lost, I won. But if I lost these cases, add up the counts and tell me how long would I have to serve in prison? You know what they came up with? 287 years. I said, I better win.
In your mind, that calculation means it's okay for the DOJ to go after your political enemies?
No, it isn't. And I could be involved. I'm the chief law enforcement officer of the United States. I could be involved, but I'm not. I don't choose to. But when they say to me, oh, you're going after people, I got indicted all of those times. It's 287 years in jail they were willing to put. They asked me a question yesterday at the press conference about Clinton because of the testimony. The Epstein thing, which turned out that I have nothing to do, and they did, about Epstein. And they said, do you think it's terrible what, with the subpoenas and everything, and they're disobeying the subpoenas? And I actually said, it's a shame. You have an ex-president, and you have, the president's wife and Secretary of State. And I said, it's a shame. It is a shame.
NBC News broke the story today. I don't know if you saw it, that the Democrats are already saying, if you bring President Bill Clinton and he has to testify, we're bringing President Trump. What do you say to that?
I think they might say that, but they've already brought me. See, I've been brought. They had me indicted many, many times. many, many times. They didn't do that to Clinton.
Do you think if the Democrats win in the midterms, at least one house of Congress, they're going to try to impeach you?
Well, I've done a great job as president. They say I've had the best first year of any president in history, and I think I have. If you look, I settled 8 wars, biggest tax cuts ever. Right now, we have more under construction with the factories, the car plant. They're all moving back into the country. They were stolen from us over a 40-year period. They're all coming back from Germany, from Canada, from Mexico, from Japan. I think I had the greatest first year that we've
But
had.
you think they may come after you again?
Well, they'll find something. Like I did an interview with you, and because I did the interview, let's impeach him or something.
Anything out there that Americans are going to be surprised about that
shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, they shouldn't do it. And that's one of the things. I didn't do it for that reason, but it bothers me that somebody's going after Bill Clinton. See, I like Bill Clinton. I still like Bill Clinton.
What do you like about him?
I liked his behavior toward me. I thought he got me. He understood me. He was the one that said very famously that you don't want to run against Trump when there were 18 people. It was 18 people, including me, total. And he kept telling them, you don't want to run against Trump. Run against anyone. Don't run against Trump. And Hillary sort of laughed at him. He said, Hillary, you know it, and I know, don't run against Trump.
Yeah.
And they ran against Trump. It didn't work out too well, did it? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. We thank you for your time. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Have a good time.
And we'll have even more of the interview coming up.
All right. Now I'm going to go ahead and show today's press that he did. He had a breakfast this morning. It should be updated information. Let's see. What was I going to say to the chat real fast? Hold up. I'll remember Aquaman.
National Prayer Breakfast, a moment that reminds our nation and the world that faith matters, prayer matters, and awareness of God's sovereignty matters, something the president reminded us of last year when he publicly gave God praise for the miracle of his life and God's sovereign plan. This morning, we gather not only to pray, but to give thanks. We give thanks for a president who understands that faith is not a private afterthought, but a public good. A president who has not merely spoken about faith, but has acted to protect it, defend it, and to elevate it to the highest level possible. I stand before you today with a very unique perspective. I've known this president for more than 25 years. I've had a front row seat, not just to the public moments the world sees, but to the private ones that most will never see. And it is there, away from the cameras and the crowds, that character is truly revealed. I've seen his compassion when no one was looking. I've witnessed his generosity when there was nothing to gain. I've watched him step in to help the forgotten, the overlooked, the vulnerable, not because it was politically expedient, but because it was the right thing to do. And more than 20 years ago, I was in his office in Trump Tower, and a well-known minister and my friend were with me. As the conversation was happening, the president turned, not to the famous voice in the room, but to my friend, and simply asked her what she did. She said, "Sir, I serve on the streets, the broken, the homeless, those struggling with addiction, and women trapped in prostitution." Without any hesitation, he called for his executive assistant to bring his checkbook, and he said, "Now that is real ministry." And he gave, not for recognition or for credit, no one outside of that room ever knew. But he continued to support that work quietly, faithfully, and privately for a very long time. Scripture commands us to care for the widow and the orphan, to defend the poor, and to love mercy. I've seen this president live that out quietly, time and time again, through actions, not just words. And as senior advisor to the president of the White House Faith Office, and my White House director, Jenny Korn, is up here, I can say without hesitation that no president in modern history, or perhaps all of history, has done more structurally, substantively, and sincerely to elevate and protect religious liberty. For the first time in our nation's history, faith has been institutionally elevated through the creation of the historic White House Faith Office, our one-year anniversary. Not a symbolism, but a substance. Housed in the West Wing, it ensures that people of faith are essential partners in serving the vulnerable, strengthening families, defending life, and shaping the soul of nation here and abroad. The president understands something very profound, that faith is not a threat to freedom. It is its foundation, that prayer is not weakness. It is wisdom, and that leadership at its best is accountable not only to the people, but to God. At a time when faith is under pressure globally, this president has stood unashamed, championing religious freedom at home and abroad, defending persecuted believers. And affirming that America will always be a nation where people are free to worship, free to speak, and free to live their conscience. He is bringing peace through great strength. In fact, President Trump has brought religion back to this nation and beyond. It is my great honor to introduce, and I think I can say this not as senior advisor, but as his friend, the GOAT, the greatest of all time, the greatest champion of faith that we have ever had in the executive branch, the 45th and 47th president. Stand to your feet and give him the biggest welcome of the United States, a man I am honored to call friend, President Donald J. Trump.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you very much, and thank you to Pastor Paula. Paula's an incredible woman. She's been with me a long time, right from the beginning. This is a beautiful American tradition, and it's a true honor to be back with so many incredible leaders and people of faith at the National Prayer Breakfast. I think I've been here just about every time. It's hard to turn it down. I don't have the courage to turn it down. Sometimes I want to. I come back from a horrendous trip fighting people that can't stand us, keeping us out of wars, and seeing things that nobody would believe that anybody would see. And last time I came, I got in at 4 a.m. They said, "Sir, you're going to be speaking at 7." I said, "Really? Oh, that's wonderful." I said, "Where?" "National Prayer Breakfast." I said, "I'll be there." I'm afraid not to be. I need all the help I can get. And you know, I never get a fair break from the fake news, which is back there. That's a lot of fake news. Yeah. Because last time I was having a lot of fun. We had a big crowd. We had 60,000 people, and I'm talking about the fact that I will never make it to heaven. I will never, ever. And I was being funny. I was trying to be, you can't be sarcastic with them because they write your words, and they don't. The people who are reading the words are much different than that. But I said, I'm never going to make it to heaven. I just don't think I qualify. I don't think there's a thing I can do, but all of these good things I'm doing, including for religion, religion's back now hotter than ever before. I mean, I have to tell you. But I said, even though I did that and so many other things, I named things, I said, I won't qualify. I'm not going to make it to heaven. And the New York Times did a front page story that Donald Trump is questioning his life and the meaning of his life. No, I was just having fun. I really think I probably should make it. I mean, I'm not a perfect candidate, but I did a hell of a lot of good for perfect people. That's for sure. Right, Mr. Speaker? But I want to thank the dozens of members of Congress here this morning, including a man of immense faith and immense talent. He's a very talented man. He's a small minority. It's just really because we go back and forth between minority and majority, and half the time we're minority and we still win. How do we win with a minority? You know, we have a couple of people that I consider to be negative, but we're 1 up, 2 up. Sometimes we're 3 up. In fact, we'll have 2 more victories very soon. We'll be 3 up, and we consider that having a massive majority, okay? Right, Mike? That's considered, we're not spoiled. Can you imagine if we ever picked up like 20 or 30 seats? Wouldn't that be pretty? That'd be too easy. I think it would be too easy. It wouldn't be fun. I get these calls from Mike, sir, could you speak to so-and-so 3 o'clock in the morning? You know, we have 2 types. We have the type that goes along with us and believes in us, and they're with us all the way. And that, I would say, is 95%, right? And then we have the type that needs a little love all the time, no matter what it is. For the easiest thing on religion or republicanism, the easiest thing to pass, they always make it difficult, but they always get there. But I have to call them always at 3 in the morning. I'll always get that call. Sir, Speaker Johnson's going. So I get, hi, Mike, what's up? What time is it? So it's 3 in the morning. So we have 9 names there giving us difficulty. They want to have a phone call. I said, all right, let's go. Here we go. Same 9 all the time, right? You know? So I call up. I say, Chip, how you doing, Chip? Hello, sir. Sir, I can't quite get there. I just don't know. Could I come over for breakfast? You know, we have a 9 o'clock vote, right? I said, really, is it not? Sir, you got to get me there, sir. Let's have breakfast, Chip, great. And then I get others, pretty much the same 9. I don't want to name too many, but I would. And they always get there. We have one that doesn't get there. We have one guy. He's an automatic no. No matter what. If we did welfare reform, if we did the greatest thing in history for religion, no matter what we did, no matter how good it is, greatest tax cuts, and we just did the greatest tax cuts in history. He voted against. He voted. Now, no matter what we do, this moron, no matter what it is, we could put them all together. I think, Mike, what would you say the top 5 things? Name them. We'll put them in one bill, and we'll put them before we get 100% vote, except for this guy named Thomas Massey. There's something wrong with him. We call him Rand Paul Jr. You know, it's like they just vote no. They love voting no. They think it's good politically. The guy's polling at about 9%. It's not good, but we have great support, and we have great support for religion. You know, I've done more for religion than any other president. When Paula was saying that, it was so nice. I was proud of it. And I said, that's true. I told the people backstage. What she said is true. Who else would say that, right? But it is true. But then I said, but that's not saying much, because not too many presidents have done too much for religion. I want to tell you that. Certainly modern day presidents, they bailed out on you. They bailed out. They want to be neutral. They want to be neutral or against. You know, the Democrats are against. I don't know how a person of faith can vote for a Democrat. I really don't. And I know we have some here today, and I don't know why they're here, because they certainly don't give us their vote. I certainly know that we're not going to be convincing them to vote for a little thing called voter ID. It polls at 97%. And even the Democrat, the people, the voters, are at 82% for voter ID, but the leaders don't want to approve it. They said they will strike. They will not allow it to happen. It's polling at over 90%. It's called voter identification. When you go to the polls, you show if, yes, my name is so-and-so, and I live in the country. I'm here, I can vote. They say, that's not allowed. And no, everyone's trying to figure it out. And they do something to win. You know what it is? They cheat. But let's get on to another subject. No, at that, they're the finest, probably anywhere in the world, I would say. But we're trying to pass voter ID and other things having to do with your religion. And getting the Democrats to vote is very, very tough. But we're grateful to the co-chairs of the breakfast, Representatives Ben Klein and Jonathan Jackson and Governor Bill Lee of Tennessee. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I want to thank a man who's been with me for a long time. We've been friends, and I used to be interviewed by him, and all he wanted to talk about was war. I said, this guy, you know, he's very smart, went to the top schools, was a top student. He's like me. I was a very good student, too, but nobody would think so, you know, and nobody thinks Pete was a good student. I don't know. They think of him as a tough cookie, flamethrower, which I like, actually, in the position of Secretary of War. But he has done some job. Pete Hegseth. You know, he was very popular. He turned down a very large 5-year extension contract for millions of dollars a year. Oops, I don't want to say that. Your wife is here. She's saying, are you crazy? He's got the greatest wife. But it's true that Pete has just been incredible. And I used to go and be interviewed at Fox and Friends. Remember those beautiful days? And I'd say, what do you want to talk about? So I want to talk about releasing about 25 prisoners. They have arrested American soldiers because they taught them how to fight, and they fought really well, and they won every battle. And now they put them in jail because they said they were too tough. I said, so how many are there? 22. And some of these guys were on they were fairly tough, wouldn't you say, Pete? But, you know, it's true. We teach people how to fight, and then you put them in jail because they fought a little bit too hard. And we took care of a lot of business, but that's all. We didn't talk about the normal things that a interviewer would be talking about, right? But I saw that, and I saw his love for the military. I was obvious. He was always looking to protect soldiers. And I said, you know, this is a really smart guy. If I ever get this thing, I got to get it. It wasn't easy, you know. They rigged the second election. I had to win it. I needed it for my own ego. I would have had a bad ego for the rest of my life. Now I really have a big ego, though. Beating these lunatics was incredible, right? What a great feeling. Winning every swing state, winning the popular vote. The first time, you know, they said I didn't win the popular vote. I did, but they said. So they'd always say, would always thought they'd introduce it. While Donald Trump did not win the popular vote, you know, I'm sitting up being introduced by a Democrat or somebody. And they say, why Donald Trump did not win the popular vote? He won the presidency. Here he is. I said, that was terrible. I said, and we won the popular vote by a lot. We didn't want to play any games. This has been a much different. We had a great first term. We had the greatest economy in history, but this one's going to blow it away already. It's blowing everything away. We have $18 trillion coming into our country, blowing everything away. But we had a great first term. We rebuilt the military. You know, Biden gave a little chunk of it to Afghanistan brilliantly. He left tanks and planes and, you know, little things. I said, why didn't you fly the planes out? He said, well, nobody thought of it. You could have flown. He said, it's very hard to remove the equipment. Really? You couldn't fly an airplane? Buy $150 million brand new airplane. Sir, I think it's better to leave it. Why? It's more cost effective. So we leave them a brand new jet. I said, these people are crazy. But we have it under control now like you've never seen, and our military has never been stronger. And you saw that with the B-2 bombers in Iran, and you saw it with...
I'm sorry, I got to stop this for a hot second, yo. When we're talking about war, like I am absolutely against war. If you watch Pete Hegseth, for example, he's all about it. Trump does surround himself with Lindsey Graham, who's an absolute warmonger. If you watched him on Air Force One when they captured Maduro, he was just dancing. He was so happy. So, I necessarily don't believe that Trump's a warmonger. I think that he has other people in his ear, and he is just doing what his job is, which is move the agenda forward. Everybody wants to, argue over what side or the other, but when you really look at it all, I feel like Trump is caught in the middle of a whole lot of different things, and it's going to take a minute to be able to figure out whether he's innocent, whether he's doing the right thing. It's like you can't really say at this exact moment, but I would have to lean towards, I'm 50-50 on it all because I just don't believe in war. I don't like it, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. I get it. So I'm not being a snowflake about it. I'm just keeping it 100. All right.
Recently with Venezuela, where we're getting along fantastically with leadership, but really become a great relationship. I don't think there's been anything quite like it ever. In fact, we have 50 million barrels of oil floating right now over to Houston, and we're working with them really well. I don't think I've ever seen anything. The cooperation that we have and it's great for them because they were in big trouble economically, and yet they have more oil than any other country in the world, I think, except us. But they have more oil just about than any. And by the way, us and them, we have 68% of the world's oil. Now, I know that doesn't mean too much to people of great religion. I know you want to hear about that, but we got to keep our country strong, and we're doing really good. But that's been an amazing operation. I would say when people saw that, I was just talking to a great leader from El Salvador, and he said, "Man, that was some attack. I've never seen anything like that one." Right? That was good, even by your high standard, right? That was a hell of an attack. But we have a great country. We have tremendous leaders. We have a fantastic cabinet. We have unbelievable bench, and one of them is Attorney General Pam Bondi, who may be here. Where's Pam? Is she here? Where are you, Pam? Where? See, she wants to keep it nice and low key. You're really catching fire, by the way, Pam. They were saying about Kristi Noem yesterday. I did the Super Bowl interview. Sir, are you going to relieve Kristi Noem of her duties? No. Oh. I said, why would I do that? We have the strongest border in the history of our country. We have the best crime numbers we've ever had. Going back to the year 1900, that's 125 years, we have the lowest crime numbers, despite the fact that this horrible world's worst president, this is the worst president we've ever had, Biden. He had no idea he was president, so he doesn't take it personally. I don't want him to take it personally. Fortunately, he has no idea what the hell I'm saying. And he's watching right now. He's happy with what I just said. Okay. This is what we had running our country. But no, he was our worst president. We had some bad ones. We had Obama was very bad, terrible divider of our country. He was a divider. And believe it or not, we're bringing the country together. You know what's bringing it together? Tremendous success. We're having tremendous success. We have more investment being made in our country now than any country has ever had by many times. You go back 10 years, a certain country, not us, 3 trillion. We have in 11 months, because the 12th month is coming out next week, we have $18 trillion of investment coming in. The biggest ever was 3 many years ago. And one of the reasons for it is Secretaries Doug Burgum and Doug Collins. They are drilling like, my whole thing was drill, baby, drill. Where are they sitting? I love those 2 guys. Come on, stand up. And is Catherine there? That's Catherine. Yes. Hi, Catherine. Chris, what they are drilling like nobody. I spoke with Chris yesterday, Doug. I said, how we do? Sir, we're drilling more oil than anybody's ever drilled by double, right? By double. We're doing it. That's why I was in Iowa last week with the farmers who were doing very well. We just handed them $12 billion out of tariff money because they were taken advantage of by foreign countries, various foreign countries. And I said, how much was it that they got hurt for? 12 billion. I said, good, let's write them a check. I gave the farmers $12 billion. And they don't even want it. They just want to be treated fairly. But we're getting it from that, but we're getting it with nobody's ever in history. And we've never done it either, like anywhere close. We're taking out more energy out of our beautiful land, oil and gas, clean oil and gas. And I always say, clean, beautiful coal. You know, the only thing I told these two guys they have to do, because they're the greatest energy people in the world, the best. I said, when you mention the word coal, anytime you mention coal, C-O-A-L, anytime you mention it, has to be preceded by two words, clean and beautiful. So Doug was making a speech the other day, and I sort of tried to pass a note because he mentioned coal about 40 times, and he kept saying, clean, beautiful coal. Clean. It really only works a few times, right? I said, no. When you say coal, clean, beautiful. You know, we buy all that wind from, we don't anymore. So we haven't improved anything in wind, right, Doug? Nothing, because it's, it's a quick way to losing money, losing beauty, losing your fields, killing your birds. And other than that, it doesn't work. And Europe is Europe is so bad with the windmills. They're destroying their country with wind. And I was over there. It's not even recognizable what they've done. They've got a big problem on their hands between immigration and energy. Europe is destroying itself, and they better get smart. And I love them all. I'm friends with everyone of every country over there. I've helped them a lot. Got the GDP up from 2% to 5%, which is, for spending, for military spending. Nobody thought that was possible. Nobody thought 2% was possible. Got them to 5%. But it's not recognizable, Europe. If you go through the different cities, it's a very sad thing. And I tell it, I went over to Davos. They invited me. And when I left, they said, that may have been the stupidest invitation we ever gave to somebody, Switzerland. But they have to, I just say it like it is, they're destroying their country. Their energy is ridiculous, what they've done. And the immigration is, I'm telling you, it's a place where many of these countries are not recognizable. And I'd like to see them straighten it out. Very soon, it's going to be impossible for them to straighten it out. We have our director of national and international intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, who's doing a great job. Where's Tulsi? She took a lot of heat 2 days ago because she went in at Pam's insistence. She went in and she looked at votes that want to be checked out from Georgia. They say, why is she doing it? Right, Pam? Why is she doing it? Because Pam wanted her to do it. And you know why? Because she's smart. And they said, well, this has to do, her position has to do, it's really not so, but her position has to do with international. I say, well, the same people that said that, they've been saying Russia has been screwing our elections, okay? So let's assume Russia had something to do with it. They say, no, Russia didn't have. So now they're saying Russia had nothing to do with it. Because if I say Russia, that it's perfectly fine. But you could add China and about 5 other countries to it. But she's done a great job, and Pam has done a fantastic job, and we appreciate it both. I haven't seen you in a couple of days. And I have one of the greatest negotiators. I'm so proud of him. He's a great negotiator. He's smart and respected by everybody. Jameson Greer, U.S. Trade. Where is Jameson? He's around here someplace. Thank you, Jameson. Boy, he's good. We have a great team. We have a great economic team, a great military team. We have Raisin Cain helps Pete. Raisin Cain. General Cain, he wiped out ISIS in 3 weeks. I was told by General Mattis and General Milley, sir, it will take 5 years. I said, what? Sir, it'll take 5 years. And he said, you mean we have the best equipment in the world? And we're finding guys that use bad rifles, knives preferably. They're very good with a knife, but a knife shouldn't do it. And I said, why? And I flew over to Iraq and I met a guy named Kane. I came out of the plane and there's a handsome general standing there, had 3 generals. I went there to find out why the hell we couldn't win the war. Why aren't we winning the war against ISIS? They've been, playing games with us. So I wanted to see, and that's where I met Raisin Kane. I said, what's your first name? Raisin, sir. They call me Raisin. I said, what the hell kind of a name is that? Right? We've learned a lot about him. Now we get it. In this very quiet manner, he's brutal. Just ask Venezuela. Ask Iran. They're negotiating now. They don't want us to hit them. We have a big fleet going over to Iran. But so Raisin was there at the bottom of the plane. What's your name? Raisin. What's your last name? Kane. I said, so your name is, let's get this straight. Your name is Raisin Kane, right? Yes, sir. That's what they call me. You're the guy I'm looking for. And then he said, sir, if you'd like, you can go and sleep. It's a 20-hour trip. If you'd like, you can go and sleep. We have quarters prepared for you. I said, no, I don't have to sleep. I've been on a plane sleeping for I'm sleeping the plane. I don't sleep on planes. I don't like sleeping on planes, I like looking out the window watching for missiles and enemies, actually. But he said, sir, we have a place prepared for you and we can meet after you've rested. I said, no. Let's go right now. So we did that. And I said to him, they tell me it's going to take 5 years to defeat ISIS. No, sir. I said, well, how long would it be, General Kane? Sir, we can do it in 4 weeks. So what? We can do it in 4 weeks, sir. And I should have maybe a couple of weeks left over. You can do it in less than 4 weeks? Yes, sir. I said, well, how come they tell me, our television generals, as I call them, two very poor generals. These guys, they look nice. They were nice guys. They didn't have what it took, believe me. Yeah, some people have that. They don't have what it takes no matter what. I said, how come they tell me it's 4 to 5 years? And he said, well, I don't want to speak badly about anybody, so I'd rather not comment on that. I found that to be nice, okay? But I said, all right, tell me how you're going to do it. Well, sir, we use this one base here, and we're hundreds of miles away. And by the time the planes get to the target, they have to come back and refuel. We're too far. I said, why do we do that? Because we don't want to offend any of the other countries. I said, we have a lot of portable airports, right, Pete? We have portable airports all over the Middle East, runways that are portable. You put them down, you take them up. We have equipment. Nobody has the stuff we have. We have airports that look better than Kennedy Airport. And they're built in sand. And it took us about 2 minutes to build them. No, the equipment is incredible. You can land any plane on them, right? Portable. And we've got many of them, sir. We have to use them. I said, why don't we? Because we didn't want to offend another country. I said, let me ask you a question. You're in the middle of the desert. Would another country know if we're taking off from some strip in the desert? They would have no idea, sir. They don't have radar. They don't have anything. So he explained it. So we want to hit them, sir, from 17 different locations. And we want to hit them left. And we hit them, here we go. And we want to hit them right. Sure, and we want to hit them from the top. And we want to hit them from the bottom. East, west, north, south. Sir, they won't know what the hell hit, and we'll knock them out. We did it politically correct. 5 years, we'd call up the country head and we tell them, we'd like to attack ISIS today. As soon as the call was made, they'd call ISIS and tell them, you're going to be attacked, get the hell out of it. This is what we were doing for years, not with Raisin Kane and not with Pete Hegseth, right, Pete? We don't do that. And we have a little different method. So I went back to Washington and I said, this guy, he said, and then I checked up on him and he was so respected. I said, he's really respected. And I called him back. I said, General, go at it. Do good luck. God bless you. And he said, I say that to the people going out every time. And they say it when we give the okay for like the attack on Venezuela or the attack on Iran. He says, I say, we all say, we're all in a room together watching. We watch it. We watch these attacks. We always say, God bless you. Have a safe journey. It's a dangerous journey. These are dangerous journeys. Flying through the middle of Iran, they know you're coming, and you're in a B-2 bomber, the most incredible thing, and they weren't able to see it because it's stealth. So good, we ordered 20 more of them, brand new, updated version. I actually said, don't get the updated, just take the one you have. They said, no, sir, the new one's even better. We have a military, nobody has a military like we do. I rebuilt it, by the way, during my first term. I mean, I think it's one of the best things I did. I rebuilt the military during the first term, and now we're really rebuilding the military, right? But the bottom line, I called him, I said, so you think you can do it, General? Yes, sir, I can do it. And it was over in 3 weeks. It was incredible. And I mean over. And then the elections rigged, and I wasn't there. And for 4 years, ISIS rebuilt. And they have a little bit of ISIS now again. And we knocked the hell out of them the other day in Nigeria because they were killing Christians. You know about that. They were killing Christians. So you can't do that. When Christians come under attack, they know they're going to be attacked violently and viciously by President Trump. I know it's not a nice thing to say, but that's the way it is. So we're also delighted to welcome visiting leaders and dignitaries from more than 110 countries. They're here, and including one of my favorite people, President Bukele of El Salvador. He has been so incredible. He has been such a great ally of this country. Thank you very much. Such a great ally. He's, some of you have seen, he operates rather large prisons, like prisons at so large you can't see from one side to the other unless you have perfect 20/20 eyesight with binoculars. That's how long and big. And they do a job. They do a very humane job, but they're very strong prisons. And we send a lot of the people that we capture, the murderers, the drug dealers, the people that came into our country illegally and have already committed massive crimes. We had 11,888 murderers, and many of them are in your prisons right now, right? And he does a fantastic job. I mean, he really sounds like a different kind of, this is a religious breakfast. You're going to walk away and say, he's the meanest son of a gun I've ever seen. But I'm not. I just want to keep our country safe. It's very simple. We have to keep our country safe. So I want to thank you, Mr. President, for a great, amazing job you do with our people, too. They work together so well. Appreciate it. Not easy. This prayer breakfast comes at a special time for our country as we prepare to celebrate the 250th anniversary of American independence. And we're also very shortly going to have the Olympics and the World Cup. And, I got them. I was the one that got the Olympics, and I was the one that got, and I was so upset because I got them. I tried to move them up, but I couldn't. And my first term, I was getting them, and Barack Hussein Obama would refuse to call the Olympics because, in all fairness, they took advantage of him. Remember, he went there. He flew all the way to whatever country, some beautiful country in Europe, and he made his presentation, and he ended up coming in last. And that shouldn't happen to a president. If you're a president, you have to get a wink. I'll go there, but are you going to give us the Olympics? Otherwise, I'm not going there. I don't want to. So he sat there, made a very nice presentation. He came in fourth place. So he hated those people. He won't say that, I don't think, but I'll say it for him. And so he refused to be involved with the Olympics. I got a call from Democrats. The Democrat mayor of Los Angeles called me. So we have a problem. We have a president that refuses to call the Olympic Committee. And I just won the presidency. I was president-elect. And so I wasn't even in office. Then I called this gentleman from, I think, Denmark. Can you believe? They own a large piece of ice that we're negotiating for. It's the biggest piece of ice in the world. World's largest piece of ice. They'll never run out of water. But I called the president, I called the various people, but the head of the Olympic Committee, very nice guy, and I couldn't get him off the phone. He was starving for love because nobody called him. They just wanted to know from the president, does the United States want the Olympics? They didn't want to choose the United States and then, have somebody say like, we don't care. I said, I desperately want it. We're going to get it, blah, blah, blah. And I spoke to him, I spoke to other people, and I got it. I called up the Democrat from Los Angeles, happened to be the mayor of Los Angeles. He was devastated. He couldn't get all they wanted to do is have an acknowledgement from the head of the country. Wouldn't do it. But I did it. We got the Olympics, and we got the World Cup. But then I don't know if Johnny's here from the World Cup, but that guy's great. He's great, my friend. But I got them both, and I was really upset because I got them. And then I said, think of it, I won't be president because they're in the following term. Because, when you get the Olympics, usually it's 10 years in advance. I said, so I did all that good work. It wasn't that easy. I got it. Then I got the World Cup. They both were happening now in a year, another year and a half, a year, right after the 250. I didn't get 250. I tried to claim it a couple of times. I said, and I produced 250-year anniversary. It was my deal. I got 250 years, and the press hit me hard on that one, so I gave that up immediately. But I happened to be president during that, so think of it. So I'm the president, and I got these two things, and I said, you know what? I got the Olympics to come to the United States, and I got the World Cup to come to the United States, and I probably won't even be invited to be there. And I was really angry. And then they rigged the election. And then I said, I'm coming back. And I got the Olympics and I got the World Cup. Right? And at some point, I'm going to get right back onto the teleprompter, and you're going to say, that was a wonderful speech. On that momentous day in 1776. This is so much easier. It takes real talent to do the other. The other is much more talent, but that's why we're president, I think. But we have very important words to say, and this is such an important group. And we have plenty of time to say it, because when it comes to religion, I have all the time. I'm one of the few that say we have all the time in the world. But on that momentous day in 1776, history changed forever when our founders proclaimed the immortal truths that echoed around the world and down all the way through time. They declared that all of us.
Okay, I'm gonna BS with y'all for a minute. There's still a lot of time left in this, so I'm definitely gonna BS with y'all just for a minute. We could go back to it if we want to, but there's still so much time in this, and there's only so many of us. I'd rather just BS than we could go back to it. That man only loves himself. Narcissist. Me. I think he's always. I'm caught in the middle of that one, man. I think he's also defending himself constantly. I mean, the majority of the people are calling him exactly what you are, and people are hating on him 1,000%. He's always on defense, and you can't blame him. What's up, Tanya? How you doing? Good to see you. Good to talk to you. I seen y'all in the chat. I was like, man, I'd rather talk to y'all than sit here and hear the same thing. Like, we could go back to it if we really want to, but I was like, I'd rather talk to y'all because I really wanted to stop this at 3 hours, and we're at 2:42. I was like, man, I'd rather spend my last 20 minutes. There's still there's still 40. There's 40 minutes still of this. I don't know about all that. 40 minutes is way too much. Russia is always on defense because they were always being attacked. Yeah, man. It's always blame Russia. Russia, 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 Russia. I agree with you, bro. I agree with you. I agree with you. And I want to say thank you to to Tanya. I want to say thank you to Sleepy. And I love your guys' take on war and the world stage that we're living in right now. Because if anybody really wants war, you got something wrong with you. I really would hope anybody, I don't care what side you're on, is for peace for everybody. I mean, like, how is that just not like engraved in your DNA? I don't understand it. Whether we are the same religion, same color, same sex, any of that, why should it really, really matter? We're all humans, and we should all really, truly love each other. I don't understand it, but we will get it. Imagine Trump work out a deal with China and Russia and Europe. Golden age of humanity. We looked into two stars, Mars, an entire solar system. Sleepy's on fire today, man. Hey, I look at it like this, Sleepy. I have, so going into this from his last presidency, and thank you, by the way, for the dono again. Much love. If you go back to his first presidency and then the next one, there was many good things that man did, and then there was things that were very questionable. And I question everything. If you don't question everything, then you are just caught in a paradigm. I always be questioning everything. I don't take a side, but I go with the truth and what seems to be right in my heart. In my heart. And I'm going to say what she was saying about Trump and making all these deals with the world and trying to get everybody together. That's what the prayer is. That's what we hope for. That was what we hoped for. We voted for Trump for that reason and the reason of fixing our country, getting rid of the people that are in our country that were brought here illegally. That was the reason why most of us voted for Trump. Now, if you have blind faith in a man, any human at all, any human, I don't know what to say. But you could pray and hope that he does the right thing. But to have faith, that's saying that he's actually 1,000%, you're sure that's what the man's going to do. I don't have that faith in anybody but my own father himself. My brothers. I don't have faith in no other human being like that because besides God himself. So I definitely pray for Trump and that he does all the right things and that he does allow people to stay out of his ear. The more I learn tells me that's exactly what it is. I've never seen against another country. I've never been against another country. The bad people is another story. Most of them are not human. Exactly. For the most part, when we're talking about these other countries, we're talking about other people just like us in the same positions, just on the other side of a continent. You know, we as people should never have faith in our government, ever, in any government. I don't give a damn what government it is. But the people, we should have faith in us. So when people talk about, Bibi in his country, I'm trying to get around the YouTube, not let Bibi in his country, for example, we can't have faith in that stuff, man. So I just hope he does the right thing, man. That's all I could really say. Seems we have two governments here. Yeah. It seems like there's multiple governments here. It seems like they're battling from within, and they're absolutely trying to bring us into it. That's why this whole ICE thing is absolutely crazy to me, because all it is a big giant tool to divide us. I don't think it's a distraction. I just think it's exactly what they plan to do to get us divided as Americans and as a world, because we're not talking about just America. We're talking about the world. And that's what I meant. Thank you when you brought up governments. I forgot my point. Is we're not against the people, we're against the government. I'm not against the people of Iran. I'm against their government. I'm not against the people of Israel. It's the government. I'm not against, it's not the people, bro. We're only products of our environment. We're the best we could be through our own environment. Other than that, no one is perfect. Same with leaders. The end is all about result. Entire humanity golden age. Work a deal. He is the one. Let him finish his term. I agree. If anybody's going to do it, it's going to be him. Otherwise, by 2030, we're SOL, y'all. We're in a bad position if he can't get it done. And I can only imagine if we didn't come together, and the people that are coming in here in the chat, I read some crazy comments. Yeah, I wanted to stop the video 100 times. The first one, people coming in here talking about, I forgot. Bro, y'all, I'll be reading comments and then trying to talk. He comes in, he's just trying to do his thing. Now, whether he's following, everybody has their opinion. But the fact of the matter is that, and we could go by the chat and we could go by who we know, the majority of the country voted for Trump. That is not an opinion. Yeah, I know, dude. Me too. I was smoking, and then I was like, I drank some coffee, hoping I'll be on fire. And I'm like forgetting, like, my short term has just totally left me for a hot minute there. You hear me, Guar? My short term just said, what? Oh, my short term went bye-bye. That's why I also had to stop it. I was starting to get like anxious. I was like, man, I want to chat with y'all. And then I forgot about everything y'all were talking about. What y'all smoking on? What you smoking on, Guar? One day y'all look back. He is good. No perfect, but good. Yeah, no. I'm with you, dude. Sleepy watcher. I am with you 1,000%. And we won't be able to really tell until, like I said, right now it's just the micro. We gotta wait till the macro. Like, look at 2020 and all the things that happened. Everybody had so much to say, but look at it now. I don't think all the arguments that we had over whether you should be wearing a mask or whether you're allowed in a public place because you did this or didn't do that, I don't think any of us could argue over that right now. But in the micro, that was another form of division. But now it's been the macro, it's been years, and we look back at it, we know we were lied to. We know that we were fooled. I wasn't, but a lot of people were. So, and that's all we're going to be able to know about Trump and the world stage. They lied hoping we didn't know any better. Oh, yeah, bro. They lied so much that it was so easy to say no. It was so easy. Like, hey, we'll give you a hamburger and free cannabis. Go get it. Okay, no, dude. Nothing's free. We get it. We are fortunate to have President Trump. He took a lot of ugliness for this country. Yeah, and he doesn't look, dude, that was the other part. Good point, Tanya. That was the point I wanted to make. He's always saying me, and I did this and I did that. I think, and this was just something that formed in my head while I'm watching it. Do you think he's not trying to maybe like cover up for the fact that so many people are hating on him in the media? Do you think he's just constantly on defense? I know I would be. I know I would be if I'm constantly being mentioned about this and I'm constantly being mentioned about that and people are lying on me, bro, or whatever. You'd be constantly on defense, dude, and you'd be reminding them of what you're doing. And I think that is a positive thing to remind America what's still good, because if you don't, all we see is bad right now. All we see is bad. If you were to just go by the media and the news, all we see is bad news. You know, do you think they will release? Do you think they will say, I will talk to China and Russia? Nope. Nope. He has to. If it wasn't him, they would come get us. Don't want America to fundamentally change. Hey, look, it's already fundamentally changed, Guar. That's the sad part. They did that already. I mean, 2001, they came in, they knocked down a couple buildings, they blamed some people on in the sand, and started it. Patriot Act. Take away your rights. Everybody acts like this started with Trump. This has been going on for a very long time. Now we're at a place in history to where this is where the buck stops. It either gets squared away and Trump is that guy, or everything that they plan to do since they took out JFK is going to come to fruition. I mean, that's where we're at right now. Trump and Putin are likely much better friends than they... Oh, I'm with you on that. I think Trump respects Putin. I do. I think he respects the way Putin runs things. I do, and I'm not scared to say that. And I'm not going to lie, I don't have a problem with Putin. He runs a country that's Christian. And, you know, just because our government, our media tell us to not like him doesn't mean I am going to not like him. I am my own human being. And until you prove to me why I shouldn't like you, I'm not going to dislike you, because that's what the majority, or that's what a small minority of people that are the loudest say. And that's what I noticed even in the chat, dude. It's the loudest ones are the minority. It just is. Y'all are the minority. The loudest people are the weakest ones. All you guys that are sitting back and y'all are giving out facts, y'all are being realistic, and y'all are being positive. And then you got people coming in just regurgitating the exact same mess over and over and over again. I don't get it. I don't get it, dude. Their body language said it all. Yup. We are closest to Russian ways than any other. Dude, Russian's Christian. Exactly. I'm with you, Guar. I'm with you, Guar. And like, you know, the word fascist gets thrown around so much. But most of these people don't even know the definition of fascism. They don't know how fascism works. None of the above. It's actually really funny to me. It's quite humorous, to be honest. So, you know, a white Christian republic just like America. I wouldn't say white, though. We got to take that white out, though, bro. We got to take that white out because we have black people in our country, bro. They're not Africans, dude. They're Americans, man. They're us. There's Africans here, but they're from Africa. We all know money was and is printed out of from debt created wealth. Yeah. And before I get out of here, because I want to get up out of here, because I do want to do another show on, like, this is going to go against everything, but I'm not for this whole crypto thing, y'all. What y'all think about this crypto? That's what I'm saying. I'm not for the whole all white. See, that's where people get it off. No, no. There's more white people I'd rather have out of my face than any other nationality. No, that's just not true. That's just not true. I love all people. I just don't like stupid people. I don't give a damn what you are. I like all and I don't like all. Does that make sense? I love y'all, but if you're dumb, then you're dumb. What do you want me to say? That's just, it is what it is. Only $1,200 to fly there right now. Where, to Russia? Are you talking about Russia, Guar? I would never fly to Russia if you paid me. But yeah, I'm going to do a whole show on the digital. Yeah, dude. Well, that's the thing, Tanya. And that's what my show was going to be, but I stopped it at this. And I was going to break it up. Is, dude, Trump is 1,000% pushing the crypto. He is absolutely bringing us into the digital dollar. And I'm going to do a show on it. And I'm going to do it. I might do it today. I don't know if I used up all my notifications, if I should take a day and let it my algorithm rest. But I've already got the shit put together. 6 months ago, he signed a bill called the Genius Act, putting crypto into a bill. And he invested into it right before he became president, $500,000, $500 million into it. And now he's pushing it. So that's something I'm not down with. Because if the dollar falls, all these other things we're talking about means nothing. So it's a big deal. It really is a big deal. And the more I look into it, the more it's really coming. It's coming. It's real. Yeah, I'm not flying there, bro. I'm not going to Russia. I like to smoke, bro. I'm not getting caught with the cart and getting stuck there, dude. At least Trump's president, though. He'll come get me. Let's wait for Trump to work out a deal with China later during the visit. Golden age of humanity expected and work out a deal. I hope so, Sleepy. You're giving me a false of security that I didn't really have. I would go just to see the architecture, especially old cathedrals. Well, dude, their internet's shut down. You're not like, I've gotten, being a YouTuber, right? I get letters from YouTube saying, like, you can't be monetized in Russia. You can't, due to what's going on in Ukraine. I don't want nothing to do with that type of tyrannical stuff, if you know what I'm saying. Like, if you can't have freedom of speech, I don't want nothing to do with it. Personally. And I'm talking about walking down the street, not on social media. Because there's no such thing as freedom of speech on social media. That doesn't work. I could quit for a minute to see Moscow at Christmas. I might never leave, though. Hey, God bless you, Tanya. Thanks for your support. It was good seeing you. Much love. I'll be back around. I got stuff up my sleeve. The world needs a strong USA and China to. Let me say one last thing about USA and China. I don't think that our relationship with China is as bad as everybody thinks. I think that we're actually in way better standing with China and Russia, to be honest. You know, people think that China is going to come after us, and I truly believe that China wouldn't be a powerhouse without us. We like buy most of their products. We do a lot of stuff with China. We owe them so much money. We're never going to stop doing business with them. Think about people on the streets, dude. If somebody's 80% of your business, you're not going to go to war with them. So, yeah, I agree, Sleepy. I hope they can work it out, dude. I'm not getting into that topic. I would just say this, man, I just want the whole world to be, you know, there be a day where I could go back and talk about conspiracy theories. You know, because every single one that there is just real now. There's no like going back and talking about them no more. I want to talk about the ones that came true. That should be the next one. Go back the last 10, 15 years and just go down every single conspiracy theory that became true. We would be here for hours. But they all seem to have come true. Just pick one. Exactly, Guar. Just pick one. Anyone. I just remember people laughing at me, bro. I was like an outcast because I was so head deep into what's really going on. I was talking about the Jays before anybody, bro. My mom was like, don't be saying that. What are you doing? We've been on this. This is nothing new, bro. It's just kind of cool to see it all come out. And especially the Bill Gates thing, man. We've been talking about Bill Gates for well over a decade on how horrible of a human being he is. And it depended on the side you're on. Some people truly thought he was like the savior. How do y'all feel about him now? Does nobody gets no pat on the back, bro? Nobody? None of us? Really? Come on, man. If you even go back and watch, like, at the beginning of the summer when this topic was on, bro, I done told you every single thing that was going on, and then here it is. I told it all. I broke it all down. Here it is. I've been doing it for years. I was watching an episode from like a year or two ago talking about Bill Gates, talking about Biden, talking about all the stuff we're talking about right now. It's still relevant. I actually thought about playing an old show that was really, really good as just playing it like on here and reacting to one of my old shows because it was that good. It was that good, man. It really was. It was pointing out the stuff that we're arguing about now. I was talking about it in my video. Bill Gates had some hand. Oh yeah, dude. Did you see the email, Guar? From, Jeff and Bill talking about, and it was in 2017. They were already talking about that, bro. They were talking about assimilation in 2018 or 2017. Hey, look it up when I get out. Look it up when I get out. You can see the document for yourself. To all the people who are like, oh, you never read one document. Yes, I did, dude. Yes, I did. And I started to realize that it's not going to make no damn difference. And I never learned anything besides things that are now another question. Why are you telling me this? Why are you, all of a sudden, did you decide to release this now? Why are you telling us all this stuff that has to do with the world stage? It's not just to do with what we want. There's a lot of other information in there other than just Predator stuff. You know, there's way more information, stuff that answers a lot of stuff. You know, many universities involved, presidents involved, actors, actresses, musicians, world leaders, princes, kings, queens. Obama shut it, and then exactly. Obama shut it down when he found out their lack of containment in a level 14 containment operate. Look, I'm still on this. Someone said, "Oh, Obama wasn't on the list." Obama wasn't on the list. Look, if Obama wasn't on the list, then neither was Trump. Obama sent his daughters to work for Harvey Weinstein. Let me repeat that. How is nobody talking about that? Are you kidding me? The President of the United States, Michelle Obama, best friends with Harvey Weinstein. Go look it up for yourself. Get rid of these liars. Stop them destroying your country. When will you guys wake up? Hey, look, we're up, bro. We're up. Oh, yeah. Fauci's on that bitch, bro. For sure. Imagine two great civilization work out a deal, U.S. and China, and we'll be in the go. Hey, I'm with you, bro. Hey, if they could do that, world peace is what it is. We got it. Sleepy. If they can do it, world peace is what it is. Thank you again. World peace is, look, China, Russia, and U.S. get along. There's no more like, what is there to say? He said, kidding me. I don't know what that means, bro. What does kidding me mean? I don't know what that means, bro. But I agree, the stars are the limit. So, you know what, Sleepy? You get the star of the day because you've been the most positive, and you're not even American. Much love to you. She definitely deserves the star of the day because she's given me renewed faith. Not faith, renewed. She's renewing me in my journey with what we're dealing with in the world stage. And I appreciate that because that was the original thought. And you start to pull away from that the more you see all this turmoil coming. You're like, yo, it's a lot of turmoil here. I don't know. But it's clearly a side that doesn't want this to get fixed. There's good and there's bad. And I feel like we are stuck in the damn, I'm stuck in the middle. I don't understand what the F you're saying. Well, then get out of here, bro. If you don't understand, then this isn't for you, homie. This isn't for you. This is obviously over your head. Go play Minecraft, dog. Go on. This isn't for you. I mean, really, I don't know what you want me to say to you, homie. I think I'm making perfect sense. Hey, that same Fauci that Biden pardoned. Biden pardoned Fauci, by the way. Biden also pardoned Big Pharma and his family. Biden just made USA weaker. It was scary watching it happen. Thank God we got Trump, and he ain't no dummy. Exactly. And he's funny. And he can speak. The way he worked that room, the way he spoke to everybody is everything we did never see in the last 4 years. There's like so many things that you can say negative and positive, dude. Just is what it is. But farmer, yeah, man. I'm not interested to see what. I'm not like looking forward to hear about this whole Trump RX thing and all this. I don't know what we're. That's coming up at 7 o'clock. I might get back on and see what he's talking about. I don't know. If someone can do the John, trust me, it's Trump. Yep, Dr. Fauci, the auto pen. Oh my gosh. That's a whole nother topic, bro. This country's a mess, y'all. Since June till now, it's been a mess. I'm not being negative here. I'm just thinking of all the topics that I've had to cover since June. The auto pen, Russia. I mean, dude, go down the damn line. It's been a mess. And now we're dealing with ICE. And now we're dealing with ICE. It's just one thing after another. Is it null and void? Because of the auto pen? It should be null and void because of the auto pen. I agree, Guar. It should be. It definitely should be. I don't know. Sleepy, you've been a great supporter today, man. I really appreciate your positivity. Guar, man, you've been really dope too, man. I appreciate everything. I appreciate you chilling and contributing to the conversation. There was a lot of crazy people in the chat today. I'm not gonna lie. It got yeah, for sure. Do you think that'll ever get put into place though? I don't. I don't think I just this is a joke, dude. We're living in the world stage. I don't know what else to say. That's what it is. But again, we as the people, no matter where you're at in the world, should come together and no, it's not us. It's the people above us. And I'm going to leave it at that. Could been Hunter handing out pardon for. Dude, we never bring that up. We never bring up. They're like, oh, he pardoned this person. And we never even bring up that Biden pardoned his own family. Could you imagine if Trump had to pardon Donald Trump Jr.? Could you imagine that? That'd be crazy. The country would be up in turmoil. But I'm going to leave it. Let's see. Who else? Anything else, y'all, before I get up out of here? I appreciate everybody sticking around. Legit. For 11 years. Back the pardon go. I'm with you, bro. I'm with you. Well, look for me, you guys. I got that crypto. I kind of want to look into it more. We can examine it. I've got his actual signing of the bill, which was 6 months ago, the Genius Act. And then I've got his speeches and all the stuff that he's pushing now about what's going on with the crypto and the digital dollar. I think that's something that we need to talk about. Whether I do it tonight or I do it tomorrow, I'm not sure. But that being said, I hope y'all have a beautiful day, and I'll be back through. Much love. If y'all haven't hit the like, hit the like. I can't believe I didn't get them 5 likes, bro. The likes were actually going backwards. I don't understand that. But that being said, much love. Peace out. I'm gone. If I could find the exit button. Peace out, y'all. God bless. Thank you for all the donos today and all the great stuff. I really do appreciate y'all. Much love. God bless. God bless America. God bless the world. Peace, baby. Peace. World peace, baby. I'm out.